thing I couldn't fix was I couldn't diagnose that it was the pressure switch that was causing me the trouble the whole time. And I called my buddy over, and he does that shit for a living, working on wells. And he had it figured out in 30 minutes. You know, and he just put a new pressure switch on it. And the whole thing turned all back on. I didn't realize that because of the freezing and the snow and the shit, that it caused the pressure switch to freeze and then lock. And then when it locked, it corroded. Hey, life's a bitch in a G-string. You either fuck her at the bar or you fuck her at the house. Either way, you're paying that bitch.
I finally heard you say you didn't know some shit. Yeah. All these years I've been talking to you. Finally came out your mouth and said, damn, I didn't know. Damn. That's just surprising. Yeah, come on up, buddy. Edmund.
Yeah.
He's supposed to go for a run to get rid of his cow.
Yeah, stop kicking the cat out. What? Stop kicking the cat out. Stop kicking the cat out?
Please.
So, I mean, you don't want my politics. This is that fucking psycho-ass loser from Merlin.
What are you talking about, Jonathan?
I'm talking, thing is that, so I have a layer of reality that's beyond politics. Okay. Do you want it?
Nope.
No.
Then don't have it. So, politics is, so what if I told you politics is evil versus evil, and you can only choose Satan?
Am I allowed to pee on them both?
I guess you could, but that's what politics is. It's Satan versus Satan, and you don't have a choice of good. You only have a choice of evil versus evil. And that's why they put it into a duality system. So duality is primitive. Quantum is better. I'm on quantum.
You do need to act differently based on that if you're
I'm
going to...
that motherfucker that'll pee in your Cheerios until you fucking milk. I'm not that's what I'm on.
Where are you based, Don?
You have to wake up and fucking bust your ass, right?
Welcome back to another episode of Low IQ Dumb People Talking About Nothing.
The third rock from the sun.
I think that...
So you're kind of creepy looking. Where in America do you live?
Why, you want to come date me?
I'm not a faggot, but are you can say like the Northeast, the Southwest, Texas, just any, even
everybody knows exactly where I live. I tell people exactly where I live.
But I'm not everybody, and so I don't know, so that's not a factual statement.
Well, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Okay, so let's turn around and say, if you know, you know. I don't care where you live. Anyway, the bottom line is that, Trump is doing things to America that, Trump is the Antichrist, and he's going to destroy the world.
No, the Antichrist is described as people believe that he is God. I don't think that any Republican MAGA thinks that Trump is God. Democrats think that we think that he's God, but that's just you delusional because you don't know what God is.
Can I tell you what he'll do? What he'll do is he'll come out with the mark of the beast, which I thought was the vaccine, but maybe not the vaccine. What it'll be is he already said he's going to set up a central bank cryptocurrency reserve. He's going to set up a microchip. He invested $100 million.
Is this your burner account, Dr. Sasha?
So he's going to set up a whole thing where you have to buy or sell the microchipped central bank digital currency via him, so he becomes the Antichrist. Because in the Bible in Revelation it says you'll only be able to buy or sell via the Antichrist.
You have three.
Wow. Larry.
I got 4 rooms going.
No, I said, wow, that's a hell of a correlation.
That's fucked. Yeah, but add it up, bitch.
Pepe's taking Clown House by storm.
Bro, you're the one over there projecting with
Why
your
don't you
fucking,
change
like,
your
rocket
PTR to
chicken ass
Pepe
listening to, like,
and
fucking,
change your name to Pepe?
like Baby Shark in the background.
But see, here's the thing, because I'm such a tech genius, I'm a
Who cares if you don't go by
programmer
Sasha? It's
and a lawyer.
it's pointless.
So I could
Like,
actually create my entire.
Wow, really?
I could create. See, I could be the Antichrist too, because I could create my entire.
Oh, I can.
So, do you want Trump as the Antichrist?
Hello? Hello?
Nobody thinks Trump is Jesus, dude.
Hello?
You want Trump as the Antichrist, or do you want me?
Dude, the Antichrist, people will think is Jesus. You dumb fuck.
Which one do you want?
You just stop drinking alcohol because you make me look sober.
You made me look.
Or before you're talking about haplogroup A, you're talking about pygmy trois. They have a haplogroup B.
That's
Yeah,
a,
they have haplogroup
when
B.
to the phylogenetic tree, it's like A00, then you go all the way down to BT, and then BT splits into B and C.
My own opinion is, it may actually turn out good. I don't think, if you look at it in a general sense. By the way, do you consider yourself white, Pippi? Because if that's your picture,
I'm 100%.
Oh man, the title's
Obviously,
aligning with the room now, Dr.
this is where
Sasha.
I
She called him
Let's
Pee-Pee.
finish your point. Let's finish your point, Pepe.
She asked me a question if I consider
And you
myself.
answered it. And you answered it. Go ahead, man.
so
No, I didn't answer it. I didn't answer it. I asked her the question back. Do I consider myself white? And that
Yeah, you
was
said you're European.
Europeans, just like Asians and Africans, we vary wildly from each other.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not
my
American,
answer.
so I know that. I don't think I'm the one you want to educate on that. I know, I'm not American. Anyway, what I was going to say, in general, as someone who has spent more than 2 decades in America, I think if people look at this in a different perspective, this may actually be good. If we're focusing on merit, you see a lot of immigrants accomplish things. They come from like you said, the peasant class, just like some Europeans come from the peasant class as well. I'm talking from Romania, Czech Republic, even Russia. When they start thriving and when your jobs continue to get offshored, why do you complain then? It seems to me that you don't want merit. But then again, if your plan is to segregate, it may actually work out better for those who are merit-based to gather and build what they can build in their own countries or wherever else, because your protectionism obviously never benefits anyone. The world trades with one another because there is so much more beneficial opportunities there. We're not arguing for merit. We know the undertone and whatever it is that you're arguing for. No one is arguing for merit here. You're obviously tired of competing in the world stage. Your ass is getting handed over to you when it comes to education and qualification and a lot of things. And they're killing your ass in AI and everything else and cars and innovation right now. Even if they're still in it, it doesn't matter. That's world competition. That's what the world is. That's what you've done. But just stop being crybabies when people start, really following merit truly. It just seems like you're just, crybabies, and you want things to go back to when you're only considered. A lot of you don't even want women to speak. You just crybabies.
You complaining too, though. I don't understand. You complaining about the complainers, complainer. You nothing but a complainer, miss.
Oh, I love it when black people tell me whether or not I qualify as white. Even though, like, my whole life I lived in Arizona, where there's a bunch of Mexicans. I don't get confused.
You're clearly white, Pepe. No one's questioning.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous.
Get a white trophy.
I know it's just stupid. But okay,
this
here it is.
So funny.
But what's really
This is what Paul's talking about, right?
But here's what's funny is if I started talking about yellow, high yellows, red bones, blacks, charcoals, all of this, you guys are like, oh my god, that's racist because I'm so colorist. But you guys are doing this to me, which is, it's really...
This is an awesome conversation. This is a great conversation. Yeah.
And that was the point that I was making earlier.
You guys,
Hold on, but she addressed a bunch of things towards me. The thing is, though, is that when it comes... I know, but she addressed me. I'm not saying the show's about me. I said she addressed me. And so...
Pepe, she addressed you because you need a Q-tip, nigga, and change that PTR. You look zesty.
Shut the fuck up, whoever said that. Go ahead, Pepe.
Yeah, so... Love you too. Now... Okay, you're such a fucking moron. But, okay, so... Now, we get brain drain immigrants from many countries, okay? And then and there's a reason I pointed out, like, the Southeast Asians in particular. These were people that got asylum. They were literally part of the peasant class in Southeast Asia that ended up doing better than us. And when it comes to meritocracy, that's not what I'm bitching about. But I would say that, like, when I hear people like this last woman, Miss, it's just like, okay, well, you guys have your countries where and of course, she's always going to have a double standard, where if they're people of European heritage that founded these countries, or they're indigenous to the countries, such as the countries in Europe, that somehow they should be welcoming of everybody, and they should be willing to be demographically replaced and compete with everybody and so forth. But whether you're anywhere in the political spectrum, there's no racial group that is going to be okay with, like, them being demographically replaced. Like, this is where the hypocrisy really sets in. You guys don't want...
Because you said demographically replaced. What are you concerned about? Being demographically replaced by short-feeted people versus big-feeted people? People who have long hair versus short hair?
Racially and ethnically.
Okay, so let me ask one quick question. Why are you more concerned with racially, like, white versus black rather than rich versus poor? Like, which one impacts your life more? Like, why wouldn't you be more concerned about the segregation and delta between rich and poor versus black and whites?
Sure. So I think feeble-minded people will focus on the rich versus poor. But what's happening is that, okay, especially if you look at the people that are largely in power, there's a reason why they mainly want us to focus on race. They don't want us to focus on rich versus poor.
So
which
why
is
do you
where
focus on race?
I will concede to your argument. However, they're more than willing... They're more than aware that the diversity that mass immigration brings sows the chaos that ends up absolutely dissolving any social cohesion that exists in any given nation.
I don't disagree, but I reiterate the question. Why do you focus on race
And
versus...
I mean, sure, but the thing is, though, is you have to focus on... hold on a second. But there's a reason you have to focus on both. Like, even 4 years ago, when it comes to... And these are the leaked emails with Jeff Bezos when he was trying to union bust. He said, like, no, we need to continue to further have more diversity, because the lack of cohesion it will create is, they won't be able to form a fucking union. When it comes to the wealthy, they weaponize a lot of basic shit, such as, like, hey, look, a lot of us, we identify with our community. We don't hate each other. I don't hate black people. I don't hate any group of people. But they are going to weaponize, they are, when it comes to sowing division in order for them to stay in power, okay, and make more profit, they're going to weaponize it. Because
perfect. So you're a tool of the rich, and you're propagating their division. This one.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so regarding what he's talking about, I actually do not have a double standard. I agree with you in some aspect. No one wants to be replaced, okay? Let's just be freaking objective here. No one wants to be replaced by another ethnic.
Did you say something, Dr. Sasha?
But it just seems like that's what you're doing. You have.
I know, it's really
you say you're
stupid.
American. You have replaced the Native Americans in this land.
Well, do you not understand that I produce a show called Low IQ Dumb People that talk about nothing and waste their time?
No, I know.
Let me finish. You are doing exactly what you're bitching about every day. Like I said, you're just crybabies. You're doing exactly what you're bitching about. You don't want. I don't want to be replaced in my own native land.
Really, you're smarter than this.
And this is not. America is not my native land, so I don't give a shit. About the shit that you're fighting for. But what I'm talking about is you're crying about the same thing that you have actually done and you continue to do and support others.
That I've done?
You're also supporting Russia invading Ukraine. Look,
I don't support that. I'm pro-Ukraine. I support Ukraine. What are you talking about?
You're not making any logical sense at
I am making perfect logical sense.
Let me try to reach out.
She didn't overtalk you not once. Why do you keep overtalking her, bro? She didn't overtalk you not once. Why do you keep coming off the mic?
Because he's a crybaby.
He's a crybaby. Let her talk. She be quiet while you were talking, and you want to talk the whole damn time.
I love your English.
I don't give a fuck. She be quiet. She was quiet. You're loud. So let her talk. Let her get her point across. Why do you keep
She got her
overtalking?
point across.
She could have, because you keep interrupting her.
Okay, you're being a hood rat. Amazing.
No, I guess so. You are too by interrupting people. So I guess we're both being hood rats.
Guys, hold on. This is Talking Apes. Women don't need a big mic, miss. Please go ahead and finish, and no one interrupt her,
So
please.
just to conclude, it's just quite interesting. I do agree and I do sympathize with you. If you feel like you're being replaced, no one wants to be replaced. And I'm not even being sarcastic here. But it's just quite interesting when it comes to your own situation. You said there's some of these people came from whatever,
Sasha, this room will go for hours. This is how automated
I'm
stupidity works.
100% sure. I don't know you.
Run for your life, Dr. Sasha. I'm headed to the gym.
Slums as well. And you have taken over someone's land. And here you are, bitching and crying about.
Sasha, go read your kids a book. Be a fucking man. What's wrong with you? Get the fuck out of here while you can. I'm headed to the gym. Go read your kids a book. Tell them you love them. Live your best life now, Dr. Sasha.
You still own the banks. You still own the money. You still own the land. How come you're
Run
crying over
for your
people just trying to
life,
make a
Dr.
living?
Sasha. They'll never stop.
Marriage?
They'll
Are you afraid
never
of
stop.
competing on the actual world
They
stage?
will go for hours.
That's why you're
And
crying.
hours.
And
And hours.
do what you
Run,
do.
Dr.
What
Sasha.
you've already done, you've
Run while you
left
still
a
can.
whole race of people and given them a couple of lands in off remote places, and here you are bitching over a bunch of immigrants surviving just the same way they're surviving everywhere else, the same way your ass survived in America too. That's funny.
Okay, so I'll respond to that. So first of all, yeah, the Native Americans were obviously here first. The person with my last name who came here in 1605, they happen to be French.
Welcome back to another episode of Low IQ Dumb People talking about nothing, wasting time.
Yeah, amazing. So came in 1605, 14 years before the first Black American.
Okay, I'm headed to the gym, Dr. Sasha. I hope they don't kick me so you don't get, so your live stream doesn't get interrupted.
It's like the 1619 project is false now.
Yeah, it's not false.
Okay, no, here's Abraham. Dude, will you shut the fuck up?
سيقولون الله فقل أفلا تتقون فذلكم الله ربكم الحق فماذا بعد الحق
Hello?
What's up, bro?
So I got a Pepe. I got 4 or 5 Pepe rooms open. We got Dr. Sasha in there. We were just live streaming Dr.
I
Pepe.
thought you just closed the rules. This the Diego I was thinking y'all niggas was talking about the whole time. This is man.
That's a Nuraho.
This the weird nigga from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. I'm headed to the gym to fight the gout in my foot from all the Miller High Life I drink with orange juice and
I
weed
thought
I
you
smoke.
did yoga and
You
shit.
got on your toe? All that uric acid.
This
crystals.
who got
Yeah,
Doc
that
from
uric
the-
acid builds up, and then my pee-pee.
Doc used to watch Yeah, Doc used to watch his live or
Then
some
your
shit
pee-pee
on
that's
that website that was on
Yeah.
Dude, I swear to God.
Clubhouse.
And when the
Well, I
room
mean,
that I'm in,
he does
go
take
into
care
the
of his
chat,
gout, but just,
copy and
you know,
paste
he
that,
overindulges on the alcohol, which
YouTube
causes
video
uric
and watch
acid
it at some
buildup.
point. I
Causes
really
more
enjoyed
gas.
it.
Yeah,
It's
gas.
Well,
a good one.
it's uric acid, like mercury and nitrogen.
It's about Schopenhauer.
Yeah, bro.
Hmm.
If you have poor circulation, that's a problem with like probably half of America.
Yeah.
I don't have that shit.
What the
all the
fuck?
time.
You know the number one cure for diabetes is exercise, right?
Mm-hmm. Depression too.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
Just do
this
17,000
Edmund,
steps.
aka John Kitover, is a fat, lazy fucking playing a space drum naked, playing yoga fucking shit on Instagram, like, you know, video casting himself on OnlyFans, and yeah, he doesn't, you know, exercise as much as he does drink, you know, alcohol. And yeah, that's me calling you out, John. Go to the gym.
That's okay.
Been on this out for the longest and I just found out what the fuck music mode was.
What,
Okay.
you never put your phone.
Do you guys want me to leave you as my base default for my live stream, or do you want me to go to the Dr. Pepe room?
I'm fucking leaving.
I don't want you to leave doing anything other than
No, that was
just
Dr.
leave.
Sasha.
Get the fuck out.
Dr. Sasha left.
Yeah. No. You could just
They
have a piece
tired
of
Jesse
fucking
now,
love
so.
and dip.
Being on reflector belt on tripod,
Really
so you
is.
can imagine how funny this is actually.
It literally is bulking me. It's running and I'm trying to match its speed.
That'll go well.
You need to assert dominance.
This is a lady.
It doesn't matter.
Assert dominance.
Yeah.
This is a lady.
You need to assert dominance.
Mealy, slow down.
Is this like a Tom Jones song or something?
Mealy, stop.
She is my lady.
Oh, good God.
You know the little foo-foo dogs that gay men have? This is one.
You know, did any of you, have you ever,
It's not really the dog. It's
Have-
a dog leg.
have any of you ever seen Yael's Twitter account, X account? I was amazed. She's got a huge following.
Really?
Yeah, Michael Bronstein
she write
showed it
about?
to me.
I don't
A
know.
lot of like Muslim Islamic terrorism awareness stuff. It's fucking crazy shit.
That's wonderful.
Well, she's wicked smart.
Yeah, she's
I'm not
smart.
really
yeah.
on, so I don't see anything.
She knows a lot of things, I think, because of that account. Because like she follows a lot of shit, I guess. But anyways, just bringing it up if you've never seen it.
I don't even know what is their account name.
I couldn't tell you. I can't remember. But
Well, useless then.
I know.
Totally useless.
I agree.
I
But
don't
if
even
you
remember
see
what-
her,
what
just
is it on
ask.
that she's on? She's on X?
It's on X. If you talk to her, yeah. Because what's his face here? This
Alright.
fucking F word guy. He knows Yael. He knows her X account.
Well, you know Yael?
Yeah, Hiva Brunger, whatever the fuck his name is, Macro or whatever the fuck his name is.
Macro? Oh, I don't know any macros.
That was his old account's name.
Oh my God, it's going to be so nice this week. I think I'm going to take the roof off the Jeep. I can't wait.
That sounds awesome.
In terms of the United States.
In what aspect?
Well,
I
so
guess
in
Democrats
what
are
aspect?
identity
So
now,
like,
so-
I think it's like evil. You don't want to give the equal opportunity to the poor and the least advantaged people. You want them
Poor or white or blacks.
poor. I said poor.
Because it seems to me that, these people who claim that Democrats are socialists, that's actually what they are creating right now. They are creating a socialist community. If they are true capitalists, this is not the route to capitalism. This is absolutely socialist. We're totally going China-Russia route at this point. That's where we're at.
I don't think capitalism is contrary to socialism. Do you feel that those are contrary things, Miss?
No. But what I'm talking about is they're not about, because they're cutting out any opportunity for competition. They are cutting out any opportunity for competition. And it's now, so the government is basically controlling everything. That's what they're trying to do. There's no room for real competition and real talent.
Sure. So you're kind of touching on the same point as me, is that like when it comes to the government, and I by the way, I don't like libertarians. I for a lot of reasons, but when it comes to I'm against communism. I'm somebody who thinks I'm against socialism for the most part, but we can look at like SOCDEM countries, like in Scandinavia, where, everybody I know that's been there, I've never been there, they say like you don't see homeless people. People are rather taken care of. They have a robust safety net. That is fine in my book. I'm not even necessarily against high taxes, which is like a boogeyman for somebody who's in the Republican Party. I'm somebody who thinks that, like, okay, when it comes to those that are in need, that need the most help, I'm absolutely for helping them. I think like children that grow up in economically disadvantaged situations, we want to try to help at least level the playing field so that they can have the same opportunities as other kids. To me, that I don't know, but I guess somehow this makes me a fucking Nazi. I don't get it.
I don't think you qualify as a Nazi.
If I could for a second. The 1619 Project only emphasized a certain specific time dealing with the British Empire and the British government, but there were so-called black people coming in. There were the Blackamoors that came in the 1500s. There was also the Portuguese who were bringing in East Africans from Zanzibar that brought them into America and settled them in North Carolina. They were indentured servants, and they were to build the Portuguese ports and the Portuguese settlement or colonies at that time. And that was in the 1400s, late 1400s. So, and also you have the reclassification of indigenous people here who are dark skinned, but in order to take their land, the United States government would come in and they would reclassify them as mulattoes or freedmen, basically saying that they were black and therefore they could take their land. This went on all the way up to a gentleman by the name of Walter Plecker, who also continued that in the 1950s of reclassifying dark indigenous people as Negro or
Amazing.
But again, here's the thing. This is where the nuance is, right? Either it's rich or poor, or it's race, right? And I guess, Pepe, the point I was trying to make is that I actually think that you do understand that the biggest threat is not racial, right? And so when you come in here and you focus on race, my question to you is it because you're trying to say, hey, there are poor white people out there as well? And when I hear black people talk about
Jeremy, I want to cut you off because that's the perfect segue, and I've been waiting to talk for so long. This is like, because everything that I had prescribed for like particularly the Black American community that he had kind of like food, right, would have doubly benefited the white community entirely. Like he talked about how the Hmong were able to come over here and they were able to like prosper after one generation without citing the fact that refugees and people who come over here into refugee status get subsidized quite heavily. Their lifestyle, the housing, all of that stuff, so that their generations can actually be prosperous American citizens. And all he did was cite the negative media publicity that was given to Asian people at the time, just generally like all gang statuses, because it was the war on crime, and the Hmong had formed a gang. But they were refugee status from Vietnam, if anyone was unfamiliar. And so it's like, I don't know. I really don't know, because everything that would benefit immigrant and black statuses and people of color would literally doubly benefit the white people who are impoverished. And so I'm just trying to figure out, like, what you do. Okay, and I'm done. I've been waiting. I've been sitting on that.
Here's what I'm doing. I think that this is going to come off as very racist.
Pepe, if you thought for a moment, like if you thought for a moment that I didn't think that you were already racist,
See what I'm saying?
like, yeah, like everyone already knows that you're racist, bro. Just be you. Like,
at least give him respect. Hold on, at least give him respect for starting saying, "Hey, what I'm about to say is super racist." Like, at least
I'm trying to, like, in other words.
Go ahead, Pepe. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, like.
Your name alone says it all, so I don't think anybody cares.
Doesn't that make it better, Jeremy?
No, but maybe like.
I mean, come on.
Better than Burton. So.
Hey, ask me after the last person. Cause I'm about to let y'all have it.
My bad. I'm done. But that's crazy that he said that, and everybody already knew. But like,
here's the deal. I don't.
Okay, David. Who is this is going to speak? Because I didn't even get to say what I was going to say.
Oh, this is Ryan gonna speak, but go ahead and speak.
His white privilege accent is coming through. Go ahead.
Yo, it's crazy. Did you hear him? Oh my fucking God.
Here's the deal.
But it was my turn to go, and then all of a sudden somebody wanted to give their opinion before I
It definitely was your turn.
You know what? I'm gonna let Ryan say.
80% of the time on stage, and minorities get 10%. Listen to his
Okay, sure. I'm gonna go ahead.
Thank you for clarifying it, Jeremy.
Ryan, go ahead, go. I'm gonna listen to you. I think what you're gonna say is so enlightening.
Now he's giving it to you, Ryan. No, Pepe, you go, buddy. We don't want you to get. He doesn't.
No, it's okay, David. He granted you the privilege to speak, so go ahead.
Nah, I don't have anything to say. I'm just.
No, we're just fucking around. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't. Go ahead.
It's fine, Master Pepe. Go ahead. I'm trying so hard, Pepe. You have to admit I've been good so far, but I'm trying. But I've been
Sure. So we can look at. I probably have a lot different belief system than you guys, but I think most of us are going to agree that whether you're white, black, it doesn't matter what your race or ethnicity is. There's a distribution. Some of us are smart, some of us aren't. Now, when we get from certain countries, when it comes to, we can look at Nigerians, we can look at certain groups of people, we tend to, the hurdles are set to a point to where you would basically have to be the more intelligent and industrious of those people. And they're going to far surpass Americans. But Jesus, Pepe. I don't remember. He threw me off. Like,
let me ask you a question, Pepe.
Okay,
all right.
What's the question?
If Americans are an amalgamation of generations after generations of immigrants, right? And the original Americans are not replicating enough to like be that population. What are you talking about? America is designed to be replaced by immigrants. That's how it's designed. Legal immigration is the number one way that this population has been able to flourish ever since they abolished slavery. That's been like we replace slaves with low labor immigrants. So, like, you're afraid that more of America would continue? No, like, it's a thing that Europeans created and now they're afraid of, and all you're doing is projecting that onto us. Like, Europeans created an immigrant nation, and now the immigrants that were populated by the European nations are afraid that they're going to be replaced by immigrants. Do you hear yourself right now? Like, this is a problem that y'all completely created, and all of us are just sitting back and watching y'all live with it. You're the one that's fucking complaining and trauma dumping on everybody because you're afraid to lose this ill-gotten nation that you've got. So completely fucking miss us with that shit, bro.
So we all know Peregrine Falcons fly 240 miles per hour, and when it kills its prey, it shoots him in the head.
Amazing. So if we look at,
that's the fastest bird. That's the fastest animal in the world.
So if we're going to look at, so to answer the man's questions, so right after the Revolutionary War, our first Congress and our first act of Congress, Immigration Act in Congress, in 1790. You can look this up, 1790 Immigration Act. It explicitly uses the terms free white men of good moral character. Now, this existed pretty much entirely up until 1965, throughout the majority of our nation's history. When I say majority, like literally, the majority of our history.
Documents. Let me just tell you. Let me ask you something.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
No, hold on. Let me ask you something relevant.
I didn't finish my point.
I know, but you were dragging it on, Matt. Come on. Let me ask you something relevant.
Oh my God!
Your government agreed to give every free black man. I know. Your government.
No, you had to sit there and go on fucking Chat GPT to find something to fucking because you're fucking.
I've been having these conversations
right now is crying right now. You're white fragility.
No, I've literally been having these conversations for years.
Pepe, I know you have, and we all love the size of the rooms you're in. But I'm asking a question. I'm not making a statement like you. I'm asking a question. Do you think that the promise that the U.S. government made to every single freed black slave that they would receive 40 acres and a mule, I might be off there. Do you think that contractual obligation that they did not follow through on,
Jeremy,
every single descendant of that?
Jeremy,
I will not.
Jeremy, stop. You're wrong. Okay, so first of all, there's Sherman's order. Sherman's field order number 52. Reparations were given to people. They were given land that was in South Carolina, North Carolina, in that area. And when President Lincoln was assassinated and President Andrew Johnson took his place, the order was rescinded. Reparations were given, and then they were given back to the slave owners as subsidies for the losses of the Civil War. So that's why I had to stop you, Jeremy, because what you were doing, you was walking into a trap. Anyone who knows American history knows that was a fucking trap. So forgive me.
There was no contract.
That was solid. Like, we have to give him some respect for that. That was fucking solid.
So in 1790, we did have Chinese railroad workers. We had the Chinese Exclusion Act, which kind of stopped that. Now, even when it comes to white people, Europeans, a lot of our immigration in the 1800s and 1900s, they were people coming from Southern and Eastern Europe. I forget, it was like 1922, 1924. That's when they instituted the national quota, where basically they favored Western Europeans and were taking in fewer numbers of Eastern and Southern Europeans.
Yes, and Italians weren't white, and Irish people weren't white, and like everyone hated the fucking people that weren't them. Pepe, we all know that. Why do you focus on race?
Because they weren't white. It wasn't because they weren't white. When people make this but the picture I'm painting, this is where you guys are all getting lost.
Pepe, you're lost. Pepe, the thing that you're lost on is the fact.
No, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
No, I was in the middle of speaking. Hold on a second.
The Magna Carta is the thing that outlined who had rights in the United States. The rights that were outlined in the United States were given to British people. I'm helping you right now. All right, I'm really trying to move this conversation along. And so when it came to the British people honoring the Magna Carta, even after the colonies fell, they still honored that because most of our colonial charters and original governments were built off of the Magna Carta. That was the ideology that permeated. You needed to be from a particular European group, a particular European country, in order for it to facilitate.
What's happening in this?
When it comes to the founding of this country, so you had said that we were built off of a nation of immigrants. And so the reality is that when it comes to our nation, throughout literally, if you look through the timeline, the bulk majority of our country, the nation of immigrant argument, it is people that are of European heritage. When it comes to, even when the 1965 Immigration Act, the Hart-Celler Act, ended up passing, it was overwhelmingly disapproved of. And the promise was that it would not demographically change America, which was obviously full of shit. The country's history, the founding, it was based off of immigration, but I'm just gonna say, this is where America is racist. We want it to be a white country. There's no doubt about it. There's no point in time.
Hey, hold up. Say that again.
Our country's founding was literally white supremacist. And when it comes to even late in our history, 1965 is late.
Is that what he said the first time?
Okay, they wanted to remain.
He didn't say that the first time. He said that we want this to be a white country.
Yeah, that's what you said. Say that part again.
Yeah.
But no one is surprised, though.
Our founders were white supremacists, like, absolutely. I mean, you can't deny that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's right. Dr. King and the civil rights movement were the ones that changed the meter on who got accepted to this country. They forced LBJ into expanding the idea of what it is to be a U.S. citizen.
It wasn't Dr. Martin Luther King. It was literally fucking Jewish organizations were the ones that were primarily pushing this racial agenda.
No, that's false. It was Jewish organizations that did. You're absolutely right. But remember, LBJ says to Dr. King, hey, why don't you stave off supporting the Immigration Act of 1965? Stave off. And let's wait to the 1980s. And Dr. King reiterated himself, as he said before, a justice denied is a justice delayed about the issue. He wanted to expand it to African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants and to Asians. That's what Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement wanted, and they got that.
So in other words, you're basically agreeing that white people in the United States that were the overwhelming majority did not vote for us. They did not vote for us becoming a multicultural society that would let in floods of immigrants that are ethnically and racially different than us.
Remember, LBJ said...
Okay, so in other words, so your claim would then be that black people somehow... used their lever of power to allow non-white immigration to the United States.
Yes, let's not talk history.
Okay, this is his claim. He agreed with it. So I'm just going to let it go there.
Why do you have such a hard-on for black people? Why do you have such a hard-on for black people?
Because let's admit that I'm not going to say
I don't think it's black people that did it.
Hold on, let me ask you something, Pepe, can I just ask you one quick question? What do you think is better for America? Like diversity and inclusion or do you think that the white only thing of your founders is better? What do you think is best for America? I'm genuinely curious.
Okay, sure. I think that there's a level of diversity that is needed, but the overwhelming majority has to be of a particular ethnic group. And I would not say that that is the same with whites. I would say that is literally the same with every ethnic and racial group in the world. I don't hold the double standard.
So Pepe,
can you translate that?
Can I tell you something? No, let me level with Pepe. Pepe, you're not talking to just like some random person. Like I'm a former Marine. I absolutely love my country. Like, and so let me absolutely level with you. When the United States was created, they created a new motherfucking ethnic group based on an ideology that was going to spread capitalism through democracy. All right? I'm afflicted by it. You're afflicted by it. Every fucking American is afflicted by it, be it the holidays that we celebrate, be it the jobs that we perpetuate because we're trying to reach this higher level because of this meritocracy that you keep boasting about. Okay, like it's the ideology that's being permeated throughout the world that has people wanting to cross 10,000 miles to come to these borders, to be rejected, to come back, to be rejected, to come back. Like, so I'm trying to figure out, like, you sound like a man who loves this country and you're crying and you're trying to figure out like how you can save it. But genuinely speaking, this is how this country works. Like it's literally how this country works, all right? And for you to get on here and often often you get on here and you like disparage other communities because you say that they're not doing anything, while oftentimes neglecting to inform people of the policies and stuff in place that kind of stop them from operating, just like the small nuanced factors that you probably don't even realize because you've never been that class in the United States. Like, get off of it, bro. Like, I know you got a hard on for black people. Like, get off already. Get off and move on.
Well, I'll just agree in a few sentences. When it comes to white Americans such as myself, I look at my biggest enemies as other white Americans, for the most part, numerically, and even, the people that are in power. Now,
wealthy.
I'm gonna disagree with a lot of the talking points that many white people will agree with, and that you so happen to agree with. Here's the odd thing. When it comes to African Americans, which I talked about our immigration policies. When it comes to slaves and they were freed, which I think slavery was horrible. I think or I should say slaves should have been freed. I'm for that. I don't look at when it comes to this fight that we see in the United States. I can often get annoyed and even caught up in the fight between African Americans and white people, but I don't look at you guys as the caught. First of all, African Americans,
Black Americans, can you say me
Black Americans. Now, when it comes to Black Americans, you guys are not the ones driving demographic change in the United States. You're not the ones that are. I don't mean this disparagingly. In a position or that have the power to really fuck us over.
That was the reality during slavery, and you just said that you're not for slavery. So why would you acknowledge that, hey, there's this disparity between these people who are the exact same as me, but for some reason they don't have the same influence as I do as a white person?
Jeremy,
how can you support those two things?
Yeah, but I don't look at
most
black
fucked up
people
part
as
is,
the
wait a
enemy.
minute. The most fucked up part is that he doesn't see that if Black Americans united and took $3 trillion offshore, that it would cripple the United States' economy financially. He doesn't fucking see that part.
This is
and as a result, he doesn't understand that it's not a matter of seeing us as a threat. It's a matter of seeing us as something to be respected. Like, real talk.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's not a
here's
threat.
the problem. First of all, you're jumping the gun with what I said. I didn't say that Black African Americans aren't the threat in terms of they can't do anything back to us. But when it comes to the things I'm talking about, like demographic change, Black Americans, FBA, if you want to call them, they're not the one driving this change. They're literally not.
So let me ask you a question.
You guys are not the concern. You guys are not a primary concern of mine.
So Pepe,
that's because you're a white.
Wait a minute. What does the United States sell to other countries?
Weapons.
Anything and everything, including weapons.
All right.
As a non-Black American Black person, my question here is: if you notice that the blacks in your country do not have enough power or enough weight to affect you that much, why are you guys crying over them? Why are you stressed out over these people who you claim do not have power and do not have that much influence or can inflict enough pain in your economy? What is it with your
Sure, because we disagree. A lot of us disagree politically, and so we're hashing it out. Now, these are Americans. They vote just like an American such as myself. They can vote on, a candidate that is more open immigration versus, America first. So, there's a bunch of reasons why we can have this debate. They are fellow Americans. We have open discourse here in the United States, and I don't understand why you have a problem with that.
Fellow Americans, they fight in your wars.
Yes, obviously, that's why they're fellow Americans.
Your kids, they do all these things.
Yeah, that's why they're fellow Americans.
Can I try and answer your question?
You don't consider them fellow Americans. In fact, when there's an argument or something, you tell them to go back to their countries. No one.
I never told African Americans to go back to Africa. That's fucking retarded.
Hold on, because Miss asked a really good question.
In the world. But suddenly you're claiming in this.
Nobody said descendants of slaves have to go back to Africa.
I'm not no fucking African American. I'm not from Africa. I'm from fucking America. What the fuck is you talking about?
What the
fuck is you talking about, dude?
Exactly. You don't look at.
Okay, so stop fucking calling me African American. I ain't gonna fucking talk.
We don't look at FBAs as being foreigners. Like, this is where this part is really weird. We don't look at them as like needing to go back to Africa. Their ethnogenesis is here in the United States.
Well, hold on, because Miss asked a really good question, right? Is Pepe, if your argument is that African Americans don't have the demographic or enough power in America to influence things, right? And Miss is saying then, like, as a white person who you think is in power, like, why would you give a shit about them? Like, why wouldn't you sit here and say, hey, I'm going to rage against the rich people who actually have the power, and you as a poor little white guy don't have any fucking power. So why would you rage against the black people who you were claiming don't have any demographic power to change things?
Insults like poor little white people. Like, come on, dude. Like, I did it in good faith.
But hold on, and this is the point that I'm trying to make.
So I was not being disparaging against you, leftists or black people. I didn't call them monkeys. I didn't call you low IQ. I didn't do any of that shit. So
I suggested that you're not a super wealthy white person in America. Am I wrong?
I'm not a super wealthy, but you said poor, and it's just like, come on, dude. Like, that's just.
Yes, because I'm implying that you don't have power despite the fact that you're white.
Well, yeah, 99.99% of white people don't have power. Like, that's fine. I'm not an exception to the rule. Like,
well, maybe that's why they're crying. You know, because a lot of them are like.
Oh, because I'm not. So every crybaby. If you're not the 1 in 1,000, you're a crybaby. But the reality is that every black person on here, I can guarantee it, is not that 1 in 1,000 either.
Let me tell you something.
It's just bitching and whining for you when I hear this shit.
Still, you're focusing on race and not focusing on the real issues, and therefore, this is where you're not getting it. And I've been quiet listening. I don't think you understand like the whole concept, bro, because the way you're explaining it just doesn't make any sense.
It probably doesn't to a lot of on the stage, but I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. Like
So why don't you get any better, Pepe?
What do you mean by getting better? Like, somebody
should be much better with, getting us convinced. Because I'm not even African American.
Oh, okay, but here's the thing, though, is that the one thing that what's really funny and what I find very ironic about the same people who say that they're fighting the power, they're fighting the resistance, they're fighting the wealthy. These same people realize that ethnic and racial divisions exist, and that we will be pitted against each other, and it's something that is somewhat natural. It's always occurred, and then like now the rich are doing this right now. As they're pitting us against each other, you guys want us to. I guess concede that we should accept your values, your grievances, and reject ours. Like, no, that's not how it works.
But what you're saying is white people have power in America. And if you look at the French Revolution, you look at the Civil Rights Movement, you look at any place where there was a massive shift of power between the minority that had the power and the people who wanted to make it different. Yeah, oftentimes it required the people of power to side with the people who had no power. The aristocrats in France had to, the rich, children of the merchant class had to join with the serfs and the poor in order to overturn the French government. The Civil Rights movement absolutely was joined by white Americans who said, "Hey, no, we want justice," right? And so, Pepe, yeah, there is a division, but either you side with the Nazis or you side with the resistance. You side with the civil rights movement, the people that marched with black people, or you side with the ones that said, "Fuck this little girl, she can't go to school here." Like, you get to make that choice, man. Why do you choose the wrong side? That's the question.
Well, sure.
Right.
So my question would be, or I guess my answer would be that, like, I'm not going to. First, revolution is fine, but at the end of the day, you get two groups of people that are going to identify as two different ethnic groups that love their own people. And here's where I just find it's just so fucking retarded when I talk to Mike. Hold on a second. No, hold on a second. You get people like minorities. They're going to say black is beautiful. Latinos, they're lovely. They're all this and that. They're going to talk Asians, Pacific Islanders. They all do it. And to, I would say they're correct. You guys are beautiful, unique people.
Pepe, you conflate race.
At the end of the day, there's this myth that somehow we're going to stop identifying with our own ethnic and racial group, and we're just gonna kumbaya. That is not how human beings work.
Let me tell you what Jeremy was trying to get across to you that you didn't pick up, and you totally went.
You were interrupting me from the beginning because you could not fucking help yourself.
Let her speak. She hasn't said a word. You've been hogging the mic, dude. Women don't need loud mics, sir.
Thank you. So what I'm trying to say, the point that Jeremy is trying to drive to you is that if you're in a position of where your decisions and your choices actually affects a mass of people, you have a responsibility to make the responsible decisions, because you're now making decisions and choices for a larger group that they don't have a say in. So now, the thing that Jeremy was saying hit home for me, because I totally get where he's coming from. Because when it's not about just having the money and it ain't just with the colors. This is why the color, the racism, and the money, it's not about that. It's about doing something that's going to do well for everybody, right? Not just one group, not just this one, not just everybody, right? Because we're going to be all inclusive. We're not trying to divide and segregate, because this is why this is an issue. Why they put segregations into the system is because so that we can have a division, right? So now if you're in a position where you are given some sort of authority or some sort of like upper hand or some sort of like where you have to make a decision, it is your responsibility, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what job you're doing, no matter where you're at in your job. These are the things that we have to take serious, because, at the end of the day, the people that aren't in your position can't do it for themselves, and they're counting on you. And so now, if you kind of flip the script a little bit and stop being so selfish, you can kind of see that this is how we're going to be able to bring the unity back, how we're going to become more prosperous, how we're going to be able to work together. So now if you continue to defend the ignorance, right? Continue to defend the thing that keeps it divided, you're going to continue that negative narrative, and you're not going to make a change. You're going to continue to fucking be the problem. So that's what I think Jeremy was trying to convey to you, but you want some more other stuff. So I hope you understand what the real shit is.
Yeah,
that's the better point of the whole conversation. It's not someone's responsibility I don't think you care about being the best
I don't think
that they can be.
No, what I'm saying is
that for me, I'm just pointing out his double standards. Like, if you're saying that you want things to be fair and you want to be able to say white is beautiful. Well, a lot of the times when these black people say black is beautiful, I don't see people dying as a result of black being beautiful. But why is it that when you want to say white is beautiful, there's always this antagonistic black face that's on your face, and people are dying in the midst of you saying white is beautiful? Like, we want you to love yourselves. Like, why does it have to be either or? You can love who you are and still understand somebody else. I don't see everybody else, people dying as a result of other people.
Nobody wants to kill over.
You just seem to have a pattern of killing people in the process of loving who you are. That's kind of weird.
I don't want to kill black people for thinking they're beautiful. I want black people to exist and continue to exist in all of the different tribes and ethnic and racial groups in Africa to exist and hopefully prosper. That is fine. No. I'm saying I wish them the best of luck. I don't think that we should subjugate them, rule over them, mistreat them, enslave them, any of that. Like, I'm against all of that. But I guess, to the woman that was speaking, because I couldn't see, she was saying like, oh, well, we're giving in. Well, I mean, that's just like saying you get two like warring, let's just say like Native American tribes, and you basically move one into another into the other space, and then it's like, oh, well, you just get along. You know, we need to get along. Like, fuck everything that's happened. Fuck your own tribal interests. We need to come together, which would basically, it's like if you were to get the Hopis, which are surrounded by the Navajo reservation, and say like, oh, we need to find like one common language, we need to find unity whatsoever. No, that's kind of bullshit, because the Hopis are different from the Navajo, and the Hopis absolutely have a right to exist as a distinct group of people that should not be lorded over by, people that I guess somehow, well, because economically our interests are all the same, so, the Navajo and the Hopi shall be one. We'll bridge our differences, we'll become the same fucking people. No, that is absolutely fucking retarded. And if I was to use a leftist argument, that would be considered. That would be considered. That would be considered. That would be considered. Sure, but that would be considered ethnic genocide. Like, you cannot, or cultural genocide. You cannot say that, like, one group of people have to fucking submit or adapt to another group of people. And I'm saying this in the sense that when you have a group of people that are way different, I grant the charity that, if you're a Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever, I don't want you to lose your identity when you come to America, but it comes to a point that, in America, I'm being very liberal here. When it comes to Europe, I think they should have zero tolerance visit the indigenous homelands. But here in a new world country like America, we must admit that when we come here, what flavor of European you are, no matter where you are from outside of Europe, you're going to import your culture. People, especially the first couple of generations, they are going to be tribal, and they're going to try to change the country to adapt to them. And I would say even amongst white people, we've absolutely seen this. We were a country founded by WASPs, and then we had a large Jewish and Catholic immigration in the United States, which I would say did absolutely fundamentally change our fucking country. And if a WASP was to say to me, dude, you guys totally fucked up this country, I cannot in good conscience say oh no, but you're wrong. What do you mean? We made it better. I can absolutely see from a WASP point of view that us Catholics made their country worse.
Pepe, the only pushback that I want to give to that is you're ignoring the fact that the United States was a slave nation that...
I'm not ignoring that. We were white supremacists.
No, let me finish.
We were a white supremacist country that brought black people to be slaves.
No, don't put words in my mouth. I'm not even trying to say supremacist.
I'm saying we were. We absolutely were white supremacists.
This is my turn to talk. You're ignoring the fact that this nation is an immigrant nation. You even said yourself, your people immigrated here from 1605. So what you're doing is gatekeeping the foundational policy of this land. When everyone made this agreement that they were going to steal this land from the Native American, it was an open agreement that it would be a free land for Europeans. All right? And now what you're doing, fuck Africa, fuck South America, fuck all those other countries. I want to point out the fact that you're going against your own goddamn interests right now. That this entire economy is built on immigration, and I want that to sink in. Everything that we've done, all of the low-hanging jobs, once slavery was abolished, fell to immigrant classes. And the entire philosophy and principle behind the American dream was something that was sold to immigrants coming over here from nations that crippled them on their growth, their ability to obtain their ability to obtain resources and generational wealth and stuff. That's everything and that's the question that I was asking you. What do we sell to other countries. We sell it now, even through our social media. We sell a better life, and it's not because we're against immigration. We're not against people coming over here. You're going against this nation's founding philosophy. We're against illegal immigration because illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. You're missing the fucking point entirely. No one gives a fuck about people who come over here legitimately, all right? But you keep kowtowing and you keep bringing race into the equation because the answer, the real question is fucking poverty. The nation is an immigrant nation, so you can't be afraid that people come over here and bring other ideologies because that's baked into the fucking program.
Okay, but once again, you're just mistakenly, it's just so wrong. We were literally founded by white supremacists, black people. They were less than human.
Why do you keep bringing black people into this? Like, because no one's fucking talking about black people right now.
Because we have to do it. Because we have to do
Why?
this.
All you're doing is just proving your racism.
You're chimping out. Just let me finish. So you said we're a nation of immigrants. Now we have to walk through this.
Brother, this is going to degrade really quickly if you're going to get your clown suit on, brother. Let's keep this above. Let's try and keep this. And I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying to be better than you, Pepe. And we can both unleash, but let's not do it, man. Let's have this constructive.
Okay, so we can look at how white people treated black people. I would say they did not treat them as if they were human. I think we can all agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Amazing. So even after the Civil War, okay, our first Congress, which was elected, our first Immigration Act, 1790 said only free white men of good moral character can come into this country. Now, this persisted until 1965. In other words, the majority of our country's history. So our founders were literally, and when I say founders, the people that fought, that not only came here as settlers, but fought in the Revolutionary War, and they were the literally the founders of our government after the Revolutionary War, or War of Independence. They only thought of this country as being for white people. That's not true. It is 100% true. Our laws literally reflect that.
Addicts.
Amazing, but you're trying to.
Are you familiar with Crispus Addicts?
We were a racist country.
Are you familiar with Crispus Addicts?
Sure. So we were literally.
Respond, Pepe. Let's just listen to what her question was, man.
Are you familiar with
Crispus Addicts? She cut me off. I'm not going to acknowledge the question.
With your white privilege, everyone's cutting people off tonight, man. Just back it, man. Just let the sisters speak, man. Like you've been dominating the stage. So let this conversation go ahead.
Well, the whole reason the American Revolution even took place was because of a black and indigenous man named Crispus Attucks. Like, I don't know why people forget that a lot of this stuff that was what we call racialized and stuff didn't really occur until Bacon's Rebellion. That's when you started seeing the caste system.
Oh, yeah, we were never racist. Oh, yeah, we were never racist.
No. Because even one of the first, and a lot of conservative people will tell you this, when the first official or illegal slaveholders was a black man from Angola by the name of Antonio Johnson.
Yeah, the white people were not.
At the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that was racialized didn't happen until much later. Like I said, Bacon's Rebellion.
Yeah, we were not racist. Amazing.
Yeah, but you're just not real. I didn't say we weren't racist. I just think you're not putting it into context. Like, after acting like it was always based on a racial caste system, and it was.
People who want to say the founding of this country was racist and white supremacist, these leftists, these progressives, that were somehow able to.
It didn't happen until later.
We were.
You've literally spent 30 minutes saying exactly the same thing, right? And my point is this, man. Like, listen.
I know you cut me off right after she did. Like, you literally cut me off right after she did.
Aren't you Mexican?
But no, I'm not Mexican. Okay, but
you literally told me the other
Mexican. No, I'm not. So the whole point, and I'll wrap it up in one sentence. The one point is that from our founders, okay, all the way until 1965, in other words, before when we were just colonies up until after statehood, until today, we only really allowed white people to immigrate here. We were white supremacists and we were racist. That was the founding ideals of the United States of America. Period. That's where progressives and leftists
Okay,
did it
so
right.
we
were racist.
You're not Mexican. Why are you saying we?
Are you mixed with Mexican?
Your ancestors were not part of them. So why are you saying we?
He's not white.
I'm 16. My literally my last name that came here in 1605.
Never met a white guy named Pepe.
Yeah, Pepe's actually a French name.
So you're
French. Understand that.
Well, you're not.
Yes, where did the French live? Where did the French live? Where did the French live?
So you part of the Huguenot.
New England.
You ain't no real white
Northeastern
boy.
Canada.
Your skin.
You're black. You can't tell me what is a real white boy. Like, shut the. I don't tell FBAs. I don't tell FBAs what they can consider black. I don't tell.
You ain't a real white boy.
Let me try and bridge really quickly, guys, because this is a great conversation tonight. So let me try and bridge, right? We're talking, I think at a high level, right? And I think it's useless to go into preaching to each other about what happened in the past. I think we all have a decent understanding of history. I think the question that's interesting, and again, I'm just going to try to bridge, right? Is it the wealthy against the poor, or is it black against white, or white Americans versus immigrants, right? And what I would argue, and here's the bridge, is that we can talk about the disparity that lack of access to generational wealth has caused a disproportionate amount of African Americans or black people to be impoverished in America versus whites. We can talk about the reality of that, but at the end of the day, if we acknowledge that there is a disparity, what should we focus on? The disparity between black and whites, or the rich and the poor, right? Because Pepe, you're not rich enough to have any influence, right? Like you're just like the black people that you're so afraid of, right? So what should you focus on?
I'm not afraid of them.
Scared
I
of
would
black
say
people,
I'm part
trying
of the
to stop the
99.
disparity between rich and poor?
I'm part of the 99% of people that don't have the power. Just for whether
So that's my question. Like, why don't you? Why isn't every time I bump into you on Clubhouse, you're not talking about the disparity between rich and poor? Why are you always talking about black and white and being super racist?
Because So if we're to look at what you see as the pandering, where you have the least capable and functioning groups in the United States, and it's just like, why are we as represented? I don't know, because black people don't tend to raise their kids like Chinese people, just like white people don't raise their kids like Chinese people, yet Chinese people end up getting into elite universities at a much higher rate, commit way less crimes, have way less, obviously, you can say it's cultural, that's fine, but these Chinese people also, they don't have the out-of-wedlock childbirths, they don't have any, to the same extent, any of the problems that we have.
Mexicans do.
Yeah, I said whites and blacks. Yeah, I said in comparison to us.
May I have the mic? May I have the mic?
Everybody's half Mexican, guys.
Wait a minute.
Don't let him fool you.
Hold on. Wait a minute. So, Pepe, this is a moment that we can grow from, because the opening statement that you said is, why do we need to talk about race? All right. That was what you opened the mic on, and I'm glad that we were able to come full circle on it, because what I hear from you as this conversation has progressed, shut the fuck up, all right? What I hear from you as this conversation has progressed is that you lack an understanding of other communities inside of the United States and the way that those communities are affected. No, I don't, because you keep comparing the Asian community, a community
What's the
that's
difference
backed
between
by
the
a
Asian
nationality.
community? What's the difference between the Asian community?
I'm about to tell you. Actually. You're comparing the Asian community, the community that has been financially and backed by the soft power of China, Japan, of Korea. A community that after 1960 or 1950s, when the United States drove them into concentration camps, nations that were able to come back and say, no, you're not going to treat our nationalists like that, even if they're Chinese American, even if they're second generation, third generation. Economically, we have the ability to say something and do something. So you're comparing a group that has somebody that's systematically backing them, whether that be financially, emotionally, whether they're providing political support, with somebody who inside of your own country is telling you that we lack political support. And as I already came off of mic and told you, the people who are stating that political support, economic support, and other support is necessary are not the thugs who are caught up in a terrible lifestyle that, they're out here doing the things that you're talking about. It's the intellectuals that have risen to the position that they're able to say something to somebody, and those voices are being silenced. This is the part that you keep dancing around. Like, you keep talking about a community that's not actually talking about a problem. You keep talking about people that have baby mamas. You keep talking about people that aren't educating their children as if this represents 100% of the Black American community, and it doesn't. That's the minority of the situation, and I already told you that. So if people seem frustrated at you for being ignorant, it's because facts have already been outlined to you that you keep dancing over to paint some fucking bloody narrative.
Well, then
okay, sure, but here's where your ignorance shines through.
Do not matter. That's why I said he's a crybaby.
Sure, so here's where ignorance really shines through. So we can look at New York City, for example. Over 50% of the Chinese people of Chinese descent that live in New York City live under the poverty rate. They're much poorer than the white people that live in New York City, which don't live at the poverty rate. In fact, they tend to make far more than the average American. When it comes to Black people, it's rather mixed. I don't know if they live at a higher poverty rate, so I'm not going to comment on that. Now, the one thing that we show in New York City is that the Chinese immigrants, their children, clean white boys' clocks, period, and Black people by a mile. They do far better. Now, if you're to look at the number of hours that Asian children study in comparison to other ethnic groups in the United States, it's double that of white kids. Now, I guess what I would say is that why is it that you have this group of people that live in poverty? You can say, oh, they're being propped up by soft money, whatever. No, that's bullshit. They live in poverty. Yet they still do better than us white people. I guess you're going to think, I'm going to say, hold on a second. You're going to say, like, oh, I think we're the master race.
Yeah, that's not what I said. I said cultural legacy.
Okay, cultural legacy, like it's already been outlined. Asians, as I already pointed out, Asians come over here with other backings. When people migrate over here illegally. Okay, no, they're not. Like,
no, they are poor.
No, they're not.
They're poor.
Shut the fuck up, Pepe.
They are poor. You don't like my narrative because it destroys your narrative.
No, Pepe, no, it doesn't. Pepe, let me
it does. It absolutely fucking destroys
Pepe, let me
yours.
explain to you. Pepe, let me explain to you. When people migrate over here, when people migrate here legally, then they get on a fucking plane and come over here. That takes money, all right? Just because they're not up to do in American standards doesn't mean that they did. Yeah, like it takes money to fucking do this shit. So when people from Asia come over here, they have legacies of families that are able to support them, both already here and both that are in back land. All right, they have a different type of economic system. Stop comparing people to fucking Asians because they have a completely different system in place.
So in other words, I should not hold. So hold on a second. They outperform us. Hold on a second. So as somebody hold on a second. So as a white person, no, hold on 1 second. So as a white person,
hold on. You hold on. Let me see.
No, you can hold on.
Not every immigrant.
I'll put you in the dude. Let her speak, man. Women don't need loud mics. Let her speak.
Not every immigrant gets financial support, and then a lot of immigrants, legal or illegal, do come here and they really do suffer. Not every immigrant, actually most of them do not get any financial support from their government or the American government. There's a huge misconception with that because I'm looking for that. I'm still looking for that for my check, okay? But the thing is, there's a huge difference between when you displace people, take them away from any kind of family support, any kind of origin identity. You change their names, you change their histories, you torture them and kill them. That's all they know, and you treat them like animals and then expect them to compete with you. There's a huge difference from that and then from other people who come who have a sense of identity, even if they're poor, but at least they have a sense of identity. There's a difference in how they operate. Okay, Pipi, you know exactly what you're doing. That's what you guys do. That's your propaganda. There's a difference. Even if they do not get any financial support as immigrants, there's still a sense of there's a certain sense of hustle, purpose, whatever that they feel, as opposed to those who are here, who have been mentally tortured and have mental blockades and feel like they can't do anything because they see their limitations every day, in comparison to an immigrant who doesn't see their limitations as much as those who have been here and all they know is limitations and suffering. Okay, there's a huge difference. That's why those same poor immigrants come here and they succeed in ways that you just described, because they have a sense there's something different. It's a mental difference that they're experiencing. Okay, you know why the Black people here are struggling. You know the reason why. I don't think this is up for debate. But then again, that's the kind of conversation you want to have, because that's what you call merit. When you have a huge leg up and then the others have no leg up at all. That's what you call merit. Merit does not mean merit in your eyes. Merit means socialist help from your hand. You want DEI. The DEI you're crying about, that's what you actually want for yourself, as opposed to merit.
Amazing. So the problem I would say with that argument is, number one, I would love for you to show a study where it says that a group of people who know their lineage somehow is going to be more prosperous. I mean, African Americans, their ethnogenesis is from here in the United States. And I would say out of every Black culture in the world, African Americans are the most prominent of every person that's Black in the world. But if I'll use your own argument against you. So when it comes to white people, why? And I was very specific when I stated this. Why is it that these poor people of Chinese descent, which of course to live in New York City, it's a very expensive place to live, and white people on average tend to be far more financially successful. Why is it that these people that live under, over 50% of them live under the poverty level? Why is it they outperform white boys so well?
Is that why you're trying to send them back to their countries, because they really qualify?
When did I say send them? When did I say send them back to their countries?
That's why you call them illegals. Because
I didn't call them illegals. No, I never called them illegals.
They're beating your ass.
Nope, I never called them illegals. I said Chinese immigrants outperform us.
So why do these privileged white boys not have the same drive as these immigrants to come in and succeed?
I would say well, like I said earlier, these Chinese kids study twice as many hours. They culturally, I'm just going to say this, like culturally, in many aspects, they beat us metrically so well that they are superior culturally than us. I can't deny that. They have better outcomes.
And again, I struggle to make this a race thing, right? Like when I look at it, you look at the two countries like China and India, who both have billions of people. And to Orval's point, like the ones that come in legally are the best of the best of the best, is the ones that have the privilege and the ability to float to the absolute top of billions of people trying to climb up there, right? And that's the reason why the majority of CEOs of the biggest companies in the world, despite them being American companies, are Indian, or, and not, eighth generation Americans, right? Like that's just a fact. But also, how many CEOs of those companies are Mexican, right? And so there is a disparity. I think you have to acknowledge there's a difference between people coming in illegally and people coming in legally. And if I were to answer the question, like, why aren't white people who aren't born into privilege, and even a lot of them that are, not have that same drive, don't have that same work ethic? It has nothing to do with race, other than the fact that those white people have generational wealth and have all the privilege that makes it really hard for them to be motivated to get out of the fucking bed in the morning. Whereas that fucking Indian and that Chinese person, they're literally climbing to the top of the 1% of the 1% of the billions of people in their fucking country, right?
Well, sure, but if you were to look at the Indians in particular, we're very selective generally. We were, at least, when it comes to Indians that would come here. They have a population of over 1 billion people. We brain drain the smartest people. If you were to look at the distribution of intelligence, that would for any given population, even if their average is lower than ours, they will produce a high number of very high IQ people. They come here to the United States. They're going to do very well, and they're going to, of course, be more intelligent and industrious than, literally 99.99999 fucking percent of Americans.
Okay, do you know why that is?
We're selectively taking them.
No. Do you know why they're producing such a high volume of highly intellectual people? Do you know why that is?
I wouldn't say high volume. I'd say they're producing.
It's a proportionally. You just said it was a higher volume than what.
No. I said no, not proportionally. I was saying if you're to look at their population, which is over 1 billion, we have 340 million, perhaps. Now with a population that's about 3 or actually almost 4 times the size of ours, despite the different distribution of I guess how they do standardized tests and all of that, they will, because their population size dwarfs ours, they will still put out a decent number of very intelligent people. Not per capita, but just.
But why is that? Do you know why that
because
is?
There's so many of them.
No, it's because we fund their economies so that they can do so. Because our intention is to create economic systems in other countries that produce people that want to come to the United States as immigrants, because immigrants are cheaper than American citizens, Pepe. Yeah. That's something that our government is literally perpetuating. We know
that part. We know that part. But if we're talking about if we're talking about I think it was you that mentioned why are there so many Indian CEOs and all of this shit? Well, to me, it's kind of common sense. Why are there so many Chinese CEOs? Look at how many of them there are. They're going to, in comparison to Americans, there's going to be more of them. And the one thing, and I don't disagree with this, when it comes to the United States, we like to take the best and the brightest. And so we're going to have more minorities that are overrepresented in certain areas, especially in the STEM fields.
Ooh, I would love to comment on
It's
that.
an immigrant country. I already stated. We're an immigrant country. We are
perpetuated. That's not me conceding to the founding fathers did not believe in what you would consider an immigrant country. They believed in an immigrant country based on white people. Now, I'm open to people that are not white, coming to this country. But to conflate
of the matter.
When it comes to our founding fathers, the fact that you would say that they were for anything but having basically a white fucking ethno-state is retarded.
You guys,
but they were not your founding fathers. You're just a clown.
They weren't your founding fathers.
I think Americans should claim their founding fathers, and you just need to leave them alone.
Capitalism inherently breeds white supremacy because of all of the different facets of capitalism. First off, you want to outsource to the people who have the least type of rebuttal for your system, who will benefit, who you can make managers, who you can give titles, who can give status that'll buy in. So in the American system, you don't want to necessarily make it available for the people, for literally the proletariat people who are going to revolutionize against the idea. So it's built on racism, nepotism, anything to allow people who get down with the program a good spot so that they can support the people above them. And so the system cycle goes on.
Follow me back.
Who said that? Okay.
So what should the focus be? Equality, regardless of race, like equality with regards to opportunity and access to wealth, or should it be focused on race? Because you sound like, I think you're a segregist, right? You don't believe in the idea that humans are humans. You're big on separating the races and not mixing, right? Whereas I'm actually I'm more of a socialist, where I think hey, I'm fine with there being rich people and poor people, but I think that the division and the gap between the two shouldn't be as big as it is.
For sure. So I think that like when it comes to this is the where I will differ from socialists. Yes, when it comes to the elites, I'm not talking about Jews or any secret cabal. I'm literally talking about the people that have money and are in leadership positions. Do I think? No. So if I was to say that, do I think that their interests necessarily align with the middle class and the everyday Americans? No, I don't give a fuck about giving corporations or the elites, tax cuts. That's not what I'm about. I think that when I've always thought of America, it's just about living the American dream. Everybody, for the most part, unless you're like a real fuck up, you have the chance at you have the opportunity at living a middle class life. Of course, you can go beyond that. Now, when it comes to
but you don't though. Like that's the thing is the American dream is sold to you as if it's equal opportunity and equal equality.
What are you talking about?
We're not given. As a black man, you're pigeonholed because you're black.
I'm fine with black. I want black people to have the middle class dream. This is so fucking retarded.
We can't have that though because once we get there,
sure. All right.
No, I'm telling you, bro. Quite literally, that's what racism.
Okay, this is where it starts to break down because here's your fucking racial.
Because Creo, just come off mic for the first time. Creo, can you just go ahead, brother?
The 1950s and 1960s is when we broke down some of the most racial covenants. Like, quite frankly, we're the very first generation who have access to the information and access to the actual land. Not to mention gerrymandering, the political process, the electoral college. There's so many things that we had to literally overcome from a legal standpoint. So legally, we weren't allowed to intermarry. We weren't allowed to live in certain places. And even when you look at public education and how that's funded, public education is still funded on private home taxes. So quite literally, if you live in the ghetto, you're going to be getting ghetto dollars. People are going to be pushed into schools that are overcrowded, severely.
Okay, we know the fucking history. What is your fucking point?
My point is structurally, institutional racism and the prison system, the actual penal system, is built off of racist history.
Oh, so in other words, black people commit. There's no.
No, Pepe, you're not hearing him. You're not hearing what he's saying.
The penal system is owned by families, bro. Like, there's a bunch. If you do the history, bro, there's a bunch of families that literally own every private.
Okay, but the crime stats are incorrect. And okay, yeah, you guys
Pepe, that's not what he's saying. What he's saying, Pepe, what he's saying is there's a general. Yeah.
Is institutional racism is structurally built on structurally America is built on racism. You can't deny the fact. Now, will I say that racism is the end all be all of advancement for the black man in America? No, not at all. Because I mean, you can look at the richest people in the world. Many of them are black. Dangote from Nigeria. The list goes on. But when
maybe we should start acting like them and should start acting like the minorities that do
no,
the United States. And maybe you guys wouldn't have these horrible statistics.
Okay, I already pointed out to you. Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I already pointed out to Pepe that those numbers are not the mass majority of black people. He keeps trying to portray.
No, but I'm saying that they're disproportionate. But they're disproportionate per capita.
No, that's what the media tells you.
It's not what the media tells me. Per capita, they're disproportionate. That's a reality.
Okay, Pepe, have you ever thought about this too? That people who are in prison are disenfranchised, and about 3 million Black people are in prison and don't have the right to vote. Even ex-convicts don't have the right to vote. Why is that?
Hold on, let's add to that. Hold on, Pepe, that is modern day slavery. You pride yourself in being the freest country in the nation. You imprison one of the highest percentages of your populace, and they are majority black and minority, and they are slave laborers. They are disenfranchised. They can't vote. They literally work for 25 cents a fucking hour. It is modern day slavery.
Who are not in jail anymore. Even ex-convicts lose the right to vote. Why is that? Why?
Well, I would say this. Why is it that like Western European countries that have not had a large black population don't have that? I am answering it. I'm answering it.
No, you're not. You're posing another fucking question. You're posing another question.
No, I'm answering.
You're posing another question.
I'm asking the question that I'm
You're asking a question. No, you're not.
I'm answering the question. I'm giving the answer
first
to.
and then give an answer.
Sure. The answer to the question is that other Western European countries have not had the Negro problem that we have had, where they commit a disproportionate amount of crimes.
No, they have another problem. They have an Arabian problem. They have a Middle Eastern problem. They have an Asian problem.
No, they have a black problem.
All you're talking about is you keep focusing on race.
But
and you're not talking about economics.
Who commits the majority of the crimes in the country?
Impoverished people, Pepe.
African Americans are at a higher rate.
No, Pepe. Impoverished people create crimes, you motherfucker. People who are poor create the most.
Oh, you're fucking coping.
So let me just say a point. This is a great point that I'm glad that someone brought it up. Because of the simple fact. So I'm glad you guys brought up the simple fact of the prison system, right? Because there is a prison industry complex is a real thing. So
exactly.
This is what keeps us oppressed, right? The fact that whether we get they get profiled or we get whatever, fluctuate, whatever, doesn't matter. We don't get to do anything. We have questions we get to ask later.
What is your highest level of education? This is the dumbest fucking shit I've heard so far.
Let this woman speak, please. God damn it.
It's fucking retarded.
Have you heard of the prison industrial complex?
Yes, I heard that when I was like fucking 13 years old. You goddamn.
Okay, so now you actively listen so you can get to my point. So my point is this: plain and simple. What I'm trying to say basically is that the fact that minorities get targeted, it also causes us to stay in oppression because of the simple fact we had to sit in a jail because we can't afford to bail ourselves out, or because of the fact that we do bail ourselves out because we don't want to lose our jobs or we don't lose our apartments, and so. Then they trick us to go ahead and get a plea deal because we're too afraid to take it to the box because we're afraid of losing it because they give us the highest or the worst outcome of the trial, right? So now we are forced to take a plea when we may or may not be innocent, or most of the time, innocent people cannot defend themselves because of the money situation. So again. Minorities are getting targeted. We'll get to my point. They're getting targeted.
I have a higher rate of public assistance than blacks, even despite
not a higher rate. There's a higher number of them, but per capita, which would be higher rate, because per capita is rate. Okay, per capita, black people absolutely use black people. I understand black people. I understand black people have a hard time with per capita, but per capita, you guys literally use more food stamps, public aid, public assistance.
No, we don't.
Get trying a lot more. You do. You fucking low IQ retards.
Your favorite word is per capita. We get that.
I know, because black people don't get per capita, so you use it as an insult. It's super simple.
Right, but listen, until we get the policing, straightened out, we're never gonna have any real equality because at the end of the day, that's what's keeping us the fuck oppressed. There are police to keep us oppressed.
It's low IQ people like you that are and it's black people that commit a lot of crimes that cause a lot of fucking problems. Is that fucking simple?
Well, your IQ is actually you have a very low emotional IQ right now. Because you're getting way emotional and not allowing people to laugh.
Well, no, you just don't know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm talking about.
It's not just policing, Pepe. Like, have you ever heard of the term intersectionality?
Yes, that was like 30 fucking years ago when I got my ultra shitty easy sociology degree.
Let me ask you.
Intersectionality was something that was talked about all the time.
Let me ask you because I want to understand your take on this subject. So, what do you? And please allow him to talk, and then I'll respond to you. What do you think? What do you think is keeping black people from having opportunity? You believe it's just us, like moping around, or what do you believe?
My personal opinion. I mean, I'll just give the most transparent answer.
Yeah.
I think that as a group, you guys are not as capable as every other group on the planet. Just being 100% transparent.
In what respect?
Because everywhere you guys live, whether it's in sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean islands, whether it's in Western countries, where
So wait a minute.
hold on a second. Hold on. No. He said he wanted to. No. Hold on a second. He wanted an answer. I will let you.
Wait a minute. No, I need to clarify.
No, he wanted an answer.
No.
He wanted an answer. Don't fucking do this mute bullet bullshit.
Are you talking about black Americans or are you talking about
I'm talking about black people all over the world.
Did you expect anything different from a race?
So when it comes to black people all over the world,
Just fucking let him
so sub-Saharan Africa, worst fucking place in the world. We can look at the Caribbean islands, how well they do. Not very well. Some of them rely off of tourism, but most of them are protectorates of European countries or the United States. But they still, if you look at the municipalities in the United States that have the highest homicide rates in the country, it's going to be the Caribbean islands. If we were to look at even within Western countries, the worst places in Western countries, and that includes Latin America, it's going to be wherever you have a large black population. And so my question would be this. Or not my question. My answer would be this.
I'm gonna answer your question.
My answer would be this. My answer would be this. No, I didn't answer it. No, you're just shut the fuck up. My answer would be this.
Because you don't know what the fuck.
No, you know. So my answer would be this.
Allow him.
Okay. Yeah. So I would just say this. Are black people capable? To be seen. We don't see you guys ever being able to operate at a level that any other racial group in the world has been able to do.
Let me answer your question. You say you have a sociology degree. Tell me, sir, what is a sociological perspective on the...
Well, it takes everything into consideration.
No, that's not, no.
Okay, this fucking retard is gonna tell me what the definition of sociology is.
Okay,
this is so goddamn retarded. I didn't even get to finish halfway through a sentence, and this fucking sub-IQ, subliterate piece of shit is gonna tell me no, I'm getting it wrong. Like this fucking retarded.
Your take does not take into account the history of colonialism.
It does take into consideration because most people across the world have suffered far worse than the African and the black people have, and they've literally been able to do better than your people.
This is very entertaining for people, and this will be a quick pause.
Do you understand the situation of Cuba that a lot of farmers can't grow their own food because they have to subsidize?
Those aren't even black people. He's talking about like African descent.
Cuba doesn't do trade with fucking America, so that's fucking.
This guy BP is racist.
Because it's Cuba's fault. America had an embargo against them.
Yeah, no shit. Because they're a communist country that undermines the United States. That's why they prop up Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. That's why they prop up any goddamn fucking tyrant that is anti-Western. Sure, amazing.
Trump. I would too when the United States is full of people, the CIA and the FBI who literally conspires against its own people in order to figure out what's going on.
Oh yeah, because Cuba is just like a beacon of fucking freedom. They're such wonderful goddamn place to live.
Like America, Pepe, just like your
fucking retards. Yeah, it's way better than Cuba. Absolutely.
My phone died.
America
So wait a minute.
Poor. Like America's in debt. We don't produce anything. We just buy.
Yeah, okay, you're comparing us to Cuba. You fucking subliterate chip. You're fucking retarded. I understand. We have a white cup. That loves to suck black dick. Okay, here we go.
Pepe, you're the only nation that doesn't have maternity leave. You're the only nation that's 48th in education.
He is right.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you guys are good. But like, where else in the... And this is the obvious reality. Every racial group in the world looks at black people as being beneath them, and they have the lowest expectation.
It's just because you're a racist.
Why is that? Why is that?
You've never left your country. You have never left your country. Jeremy,
Jeremy, you're being a white cunt. That's fine.
Let me get back in there.
The media companies perpetuate a bad image of black people
Why are you guys emotional? You guys want us to lie?
In fact, the black
Nobody said all black people are low class, but if we were to look at how they judge a group, if we're to look at how every other group judges black people as a group, it would be the lowest class. That's pure. Okay, but that is a fucking fact.
You're not.
But he's.
All right, I muted everyone. All right, so like my phone died. I'm sorry, Pepe. You're not speaking sociologically at all. Like to have a sociological degree, to have a degree of sociology, you should know what a sociological perspective on the world is, and that perspective is you judge people based on the way they want to live their life, not based on the worldview they.
That is not even close to the definition. You fucking retard. You don't even have a college degree.
You're making shit up.
Fucking retard.
Pepe, no.
Sociological. That's not a sociological perspective. You fucking retard.
Yes, it is.
No, the sociological view will look at conflict. They will tie in ethnicity, nativism, everything.
Pepe, that's how I know you.
They will tie everything. You fucking retard.
Pepe, that's how I know you haven't even taken
low IQ fucking hood scholar.
Pepe. You haven't even taken.
I took my first sociology class when I was 17, you fucking retard.
Sociology 101 because the first thing they teach you.
I love it. This is where black people prove how ignorant they are. A low IQ fucking chimp.
Check your weight privilege and
a low IQ fucking chimp.
Pepe, check your weight privilege and have a conversation.
It's not white privilege. I literally have a degree in sociology, which is not even a flex. It's one of the easiest degrees to get.
What is white privilege?
I get this illiterate chimp trying to tell me what a fucking.
Stop it.
No, he's a fucking monkey.
Ability to converse.
You've never heard of
low IQ monkey.
He do this all the time on club.
Because if you were, if someone.
Wait a minute, no, let me get him. No, he finally went on mic. Let me finish this. A sociological perspective is a perspective that judges.
Post the definition. Post the definition. Post the definition. Post it.
Wait a minute, Pepe. Wait a minute, Pepe. No, Pepe. A sociological perspective is a perspective that judges the worldview. It's a worldview that judges people based on how they want to live their life, not based on how other people judge their life. That means you judge them on how far they're going based on their merits, their foundations, the way that they function in their country, the way that they function in their society, without any outside influences or outside perspectives. Like you genuinely have no clue what the fuck a sociological perspective is.
That's not the meaning of sociology.
Yes,
you fucking low IQ chip. Post the goddamn link. There's
run the black community. You're so fucking dumb, Ore. You need to
post a link that will share your definition of sociology. You're not gonna find it because you're fucking retarded. You fucking.
Pepe, you're not listening.
This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. A low IQ.
Pepe, I moved you to the audience. Wait a minute. I moved Pepe to the audience. Pepe, I didn't say the definition of sociology. That's how I know you're not fucking listening. I said, what is the sociological perspective? When you study sociology, when you take sociology 101, the first thing they teach you is the sociological perspective. All right? It's in a fucking textbook. You want me to post a screenshot from my textbook? You can't respond because I moved you to the motherfucking audience, you bitch. All right, so let me tell you, the sociological perspective is when you judge people based on where they want to go in the world, not based on how you judge them on your sociological, economic, and industrial fucking revolution. That's not how sociology works. That's how I know you're fucking full of cap. You're fucking bullshit. You're a fucking motherfucker who's fucking lying on this stage and trying to get merit based on knowledge that you haven't actually fucking obtained. You're a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, so I would say this. Hold on a second, sweetie. Betsy, hold on a second. So I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna go to bed right after this, but you get these.
You should go to bed after this because you're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
You're a fucking liar. You're fucking full of shit. So go the fuck.
See, here you are interrupting me. You didn't want to be interrupted.
You can go to sleep right now.
Hold on. You got interrupted.
Go to sleep right now.
See, this is what a low IQ, insecure black man will do. He got BTFO'd. He got BTFO'd in front of everybody. You got your back blown out. You got your back blown out by a white boy, bitch. You got your black booty cheeks clapped. Your chocolate cheeks got clapped because you're.
Keep going. Keep talking about how you're fetish.
Dunning-Kruger effect fucking retard. That's what you are. You fucking low IQ piece of shit. You got fucking chunks, pussy. That's what the fuck you're gonna do. You try to be the
And if we're just going to yell at each other, then what's the point of the room, right? Like, let's give it time to have a conversation.
The government has not conspired against.
It was
Black people.
Pepe's
I wasn't
turn
allowed to
though.
buy
He's the one
any
that
house
overspoke Pepe.
in 1970. In 1970, bro. So how much time has my family, has my generation had?
Nobody cares about your family.
To get access
Alright,
to
you're
resources.
saying shit about the sociological perspective. That's not even the.
That is
But my question still has.
You just said rubbish.
If my family has been.
You said rubbish. You said
If my
absolute
family
nonsense.
has been discriminated against, and
Nobody cares. They could be lynched for all I care.
From public assistance.
You lied about the definition.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
You shut the fuck up.
United States, bro. Tell me how that's not a
Bitch, get the fuck out, bitch, before I lynch you again.
U.S. has conspired to.
Anyways. So,
Like,
alright, you lied about the meaning of a sociological perspective. Why?
Betsy.
Nobody cares about your family. Imagine coming on Clubhouse and talking about how your family was being treated by white
it's in
people.
the chat.
You
So
bum.
read the
You're
chat.
a man. Go
Read the
fucking
chat.
work for your
Read the
shit,
chat.
you fucking
Read
fuck.
the chat,
You
lady.
weak ass piece of shit.
Hey,
Let me
lady,
know
read
if
the
you
chat.
want.
Hey, lady, read the chat.
Anyways.
I put the link in the chat. I put the link in the chat. Hey, I put the link in the chat. I put the link in the chat, Betsy. Hey, Betsy, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat, Betsy.
Like, I don't get how, bro.
We're not gonna feel sorry for your family.
Betsy, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat.
Betsy, if you don't lose the ticket, no one's going to give a shit what you say. Like, literally, go, you can bounce and come back and they have a fucking no big ticket.
Conspires against my people. That don't make sense, bro. And people say, that was the past, that was in 1970. How many generations removed are we from the 1970s? Maybe one. Some people's parents
maybe
were born
two.
in 1960.
Exactly.
My mother was born in 1960. I'm 26 years old. Like, that's
yeah,
one
and Greer, this is kind of the point you're making, right? Like, listen, being able to play the generational wealth lottery does not guarantee wealth. Not all white people in America are wealthy. In fact, most of them aren't, right? But they got to fucking play the lottery, right? For like dozens, hundreds of generations. Black people is what you got when you won the generational lottery in America, up until maybe one generation ago. So if you aren't going to acknowledge that and how it impacts the disproportionate amount of poor Black people in America, and you're going to come up here and say this because of race and like dude, you're not fucking, you're just a racist. Like, dig into the nuances there, right?
I mean, man, even from an economic standpoint, like, we weren't allowed, like, let's take the Great Depression, even the Panic of 1893, 1873. Even if you had the money to capitalize on low stocks, low prices, and just hold, you weren't allowed to. Like, Black people weren't even allowed to own stock in company until, I believe, like 1905 or something like that. Don't quote me on that.
No, listen, and yeah, property access, and even after coming back after the war, the land grants, the education that was granted to white soldiers versus Black soldiers, and to say nothing of even when they started to fucking get a leg up and were succeeding, like the Tulsa, right, it prospering. What happened?
Burnt it down.
A whole bunch of insecure fucking people said, "Oh, they're getting successful. I'm not comfortable with that. Let's bomb those fuckers." You know, like, we have to acknowledge that. But should we solve it by lifting everyone who's on the ground up, or should we just focus on lifting up one race over the other?
I feel like, man, we get away from, like, the only way to eliminate race is to acknowledge it, because racism too is a system of oppression from a small group of people to just keep us fighting. Like, that's one thing about racism, is that it's the perfect tool to take away from the bigger picture and the real enemy.
I agree. I think it's why Germany forces their people to be constantly reminded of what the Nazis did and what they did to the Jews. They are constantly, as part of their education, their statues, their parks, they are constantly being reminded, right? And I think America should do the same thing. Why do they do it? So it does not repeat itself. And so when you hear America saying, no, we can't teach about slavery in our schools, we don't want to look at that. We can't. These were indentured servants. They weren't slaves. That's like saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. No, you should absolutely focus on that. Canadians should focus on the residential schools so that it never fucking happens again.
Yeah, they
but also,
forget.
Going back to my question, should we lift everybody up or just one race or the other?
I mean, man, that's a hard question, man, because a part of me is like, well, you start with your people, but you don't necessarily have to be exclusive to your people. Like, because even if you're black, that doesn't mean you're skinfolk, not kinfolk. Just because you're black don't mean you're really down with the cause, you know?
Appreciate that honesty, because it's a nuanced question, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man.
And let me say this really quickly. Like, I know Pepe's entertaining, but like, I much prefer like the intelligent conversation rather than just like when the racism starts to come out real bad. So I do appreciate people willing to go into the nuance of these conversations, and awesome conversation.
Yeah, man, because I even talk with my friends about this, like, because race is just one layer of the whole cake. Like, it's really a political, economic problem, and social too. Definitely Persian, the whole Persian acronym. Like, we have to address all of these things in order to really just debunk and move forward. Because it's one thing when you just step into race versus race, you just perpetuate the race war, the imminent race war that's coming. It's a sticky situation.
Oh yeah, nobody cares about your fucking pathos. Let's move on.
So Shaim, I think you made a really good comment in the chat, right?
Instead
Can
of
you
doing
separate?
that, why don't you come with your own
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
That's all you want to do is argue, and you're part of the problem.
Yes.
Hey, what was Shayama saying?
Yeah, Shaim made a great comment. Like, can you separate your history from your current problems? And Shaim, I think that's exactly the complicated nuance that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is that, yes, there's a disproportionate amount of black people who are in poverty, and that's directly related to America's past. But also that really hard question, like, how do you solve that? Do you solve it by lifting up just the black people? Or you say, hey, why don't we just lift up anyone, right? Because there are wealthy black people, obviously. You know, there are black people who got here who had nothing to do with slavery. Like, you just say, hey, let's lift up everybody, even though the majority of the people we're going to lift up are going to be African American because of our past.
I guess like when you trying to figure out who to lift up, you got to ask yourself who needs it the most, right? I don't think equality is necessarily the same as equity or justice either. So if you really want to actually have a world where everybody has access to the same opportunities, you need to adjust measures accordingly. I think white people require certain initiatives, but those initiatives will be fundamentally and culturally different than black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll just be different. But to try to approach human beings as if we're all the same because we got the same type of DNA, it doesn't really make sense on a cultural level from a societal point of view. That society produces the people that we are today. So whatever initiatives a white person feels like, again, white people are poor too, but white people are poor for completely different reasons. Not completely different, but it's different reasons that go into it. So to address you as if you would address me.
But what are you saying, that black people will be lifted by a face that looks like theirs? Can it be another nation that lifts up the black?
And you know what's funny about that is that the early on revolutions in America were from poor farmers. Like, and so it's funny how racism and just racist tactics too, because it's not just the belief, it's the actual legal systems have brought us here. So that's why we too kind of have to eliminate the idea of race and get back to a understanding of like capitalism and socialism. This is really a capitalist problem. It all stems from capitalism. That's what Huey Newton was saying, and that's how he united the people. I mean, you look at the first rebellions in America, Shays Rebellion. nothing you would even have the intellectual capacity to
You
speak
can't even
on.
speak. Like,
You
shut
dumb
up.
bitch.
Nothing you don't know how to speak. Please, shut up.
Why are you just?
Like, what does this
You're
have
just
to
a
do
hater.
with capitalism?
You just a
No,
hater.
you're just
Like,
warm. You're just warm.
Okay, Karen needs to get something off her chest.
Like we have to be able to identify trolls, right? She was literally just trolling the brother who was saying something that was deep and throwing him off. Like, why would you engage with that? Genuinely, her whole intention was to be contentious.
Also Pepe, right? Like someone who's demonstratedly wrong. But go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
But I like Betsy. She looks like she has spunk. She's probably missing an over.
So you guys can't stand another opinion? Is that what this is saying? You want?
No, you're being a troll. You're literally in your objective opinion is to be a troll.
Okay, cry to me. Then I'm gonna give you what you want.
If you had
Right.
When you say that you're done entertaining her, just let me know.
Oh God, please, can we ignore this bitch? Just
yeah, like I'll drop her. Like if you want to engage with her, let me know. But if you don't want to engage with her,
you're crying to white men.
See, like, who brought her back up? Do you want to engage with her? Let's have a talk. Like, let's have a genuine conversation.
It's nuanced. It's nuanced because this is talking
I know you guys don't have no control that whore, but I do.
And hold it, because it is nuanced. And Orivore, like, I love you, brother. Like, I love that you lost the ticket. I think you're an awesome, like, mod. And Pico, we're trialing Orivore tonight because he's been stellar in these rooms. Stellar. So, and to answer your question honestly, Orivore, is that I struggled with Pepe tonight so much. And you actually had way more patience with him than I did. I like, really struggled because I take so much offense with Pepe. And he was on, like, if you know Pepe, like, he was actually on good behavior tonight. Regardless of how offensive
he genuinely was. I'll give him that.
He because he's so much more offensive than normally.
But the conversation is Betsy now. Yeah. Betsy is literally one of his acolytes. Who,
but call her by her right name, which is Karen. And so yes, Karen came up here, and Mando, he made a good point, was something about spew on her chest or something, and so you made a really good point, which is like, hey, should this be a good conversation or just entertaining? And it's that fucking weird nuance, right? It's that black and white, poor, rich. It's it's nuance. I'm gonna go on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't like nuances. I'm an old.
Because you're a demon, you fucking demon.
All right, so here's the agreement that I want to come to, right? There's 4 of us on stage. There might be more. If at any given point we get bored and she's down there and want to bring her up, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But she's gone now, so all right, never mind. But yeah, all right, that's the agreement I want to.
Now I do understand the nuance of pity from black people, because to a certain extent, we do overcompensate our ability now with talking about racism in a way where it's just like we sit back and wait for things to happen. But I hate how America just skims past these very relevant and prevalent tactics, bro. Like, from racial covenants to discrimination in VA. Even if you're a vet, you couldn't get assistance. You couldn't get mental health. You couldn't get anything. Like banking, Fair Housing Act. Like, it's just so much, man. Like, you have to acknowledge that shit. And it's like, how do you expect people to not resort to crime? Or even the crime talks, man. Like, when we talk about black people disproportionate do more crime than whites at a disproportionate rate. Like, come on, man. Like, we look at the people who are locked up right now for felonies. Most of them are non-violent crimes.
But when and this isn't pushback to what you said at all, we have to also kind of look at, when we look at crime is also directly correlated to, like, poverty as well. And when you keep certain factions in an impoverished state, like a perpetual impoverished state, right, you perpetuate criminality within that community, whether directly or indirectly. I'm not trying to say it's an intentional thing, because that's another just nuanced discussion, right? But it is the reality. Economists like for the last 60 years, can draw a direct correlation from crime to from poverty to.
Exactly. I mean, it's just ABC 1, 2, 3, man. If I'm poor as fuck and I'm discriminated from every opportunity I have, man, I can't get a job. I can't live in a certain place. I can't do anything but steal. Like I have to take this shit.
Bro. I ain't gonna lie. Today, there's nothing stopping you or me from making $50,000 a month. There's no white person that can stop us from self-determining. I think the problem is when 50 million, 40 million, 45 million black people decide we are no longer the bottom class. Somebody else has to become the bottom class. Like capitalism is a zero-sum game. Somebody has to lose for somebody else to win. So, like us moving is an actual threat to the national security. Like this is why whiteness has to police blackness. It has to.
Well, it is definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right about that.
Exactly.
If like the average income of the black household were to raise to the same average of, let's just say, the Jewish community, which I believe is like $80,000. I don't know the direct economic effect, but and which other ethnic group would then be in the bottom social class, but then that ethnic group would feel the pressure, and we no longer would, right? I mean, when you look at average income of households by ethnic group and race in America, I think Jewish people are at the top above even Chinese and Indian, but they don't put that statistic out there a lot. But in that case, when we see like challenges and obstacles that prevent us from raising the average income of a family household, it becomes obvious that racism, is still at play systematically. But the obstacles are different, right? I'm from South Side of Chicago, even though I don't currently reside there. I saw the equal, I guess, decay of affluent black communities and the almost equal opposite complementary growth of affluent white communities over the course of, I'm 29, so let's just call it 15, let's call it 15 years. And I truly,
Hey, you playing your mixtape, man?
I don't know why, but everybody's mic sound really
Sorry
low.
about that. My mic switched over to another mic. I don't know where I lost people at. But
that was Grio. Your mic's hot.
That's me. Oh, my bad.
You're good. So, and for reasons like this, and the brother brought up the FHA racist housing policies, $120 billion. I'm excited to get into real estate. I can't wait to buy my first real estate property. And that's as a vet with military, with a plethora of military benefits, giving me a advantage compared to a lot of non-vets. With that being said, the veterans and military bill being able to fit my investing opportunity, which is extremely rare in this country. That being said, it still doesn't even come close to the FHA $120 billion housing loan that was given out to white Americans by a rate of 98% to white Americans and I think 2% to non-white Americans in the 1930s. $120 billion in housing and real estate assets in the 1930s would amount to at least, I'm being conservative here, at least $2 trillion today. That will never be given to us as Black Americans. We would need at least $2 trillion in 0% interest rates in housing. Do you think the United States is going to give that to us? Not going to happen. And so since
Heaven, why do you want to make white bank owners rich instead of like buying Bitcoin? Like why would you want to own real estate, which is like a total?
Because one Bitcoin is
great point, Jeremy. So instead of it being
and real estate is the cheat code to the tax code.
Instead of it being $2 trillion for a real estate asset, give us $2 trillion to start banking institutions. So Jeremy brought up a great point. Why do real estate when you can do financial institutions? Great, Jeremy. But either way, $2 trillion is not being handed out to specifically Black Americans for any reason. It was done for white Americans, and that's not going to be undone, and that's not going to be equally
That's my point.
So, which is
yeah, that's my point.
it's a handout, right? It's a form of welfare, by the way, and it's not like a pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you earn this real estate investment type of phenomenon. Okay, it's obviously racial discrimination. So,
يسمع بس شو اللي انا لا سيبك، انا ما بسئش الظن، انا بقول بل سولت لكم انفسكم امرا فصبر جميل. هو كل قصه تكون سوء ظن؟ بل سوف اسرها يوسف في نفسه كان سوء ظن. مالك يا رجل؟ بالخلاصه انه انا التقيت في عينه من المعقدين النفسيين صراحه في حياتي. كانوا هدول عباره عن ناس تشوف حالها هي المؤمنه وغيرها كافر، هي مثلا اللي على حق وغيرها على باطل، واذا هو ماسك سواك يحرم عليك فرشاية الاسنان. والله هم هدول انا بعرفها العينات. يا برنس انت لما رحت تصلي هو ولع وحكى اني مفطر وجاهز، يا سلام. طب ها خد يا سيدي اهو طلع يا جماعة الخير اسمعوا.
يا واطي يا برنس، عارف بدك تلعبها والله العظيم، بس تركتك يا برنس، تركتك تلعبها. هلا بشوف شو
لا هو ناس يعني بس
برايفت شو رايك؟ شو رايك؟ وين برنس وين؟
ايش بدي العب؟
حطيت مودريتر ونزلت ليش؟
والله لانه صليت الفجر وبدي انام.
قبل الله
كثير هجوم.
شو بدك تدير؟ انا شو انا هربان من فتح برايفت شو رايك؟ برايفت شو رايك؟ طب يا برايفت شو رايك بحزب الله؟ هات نشوف.
شوف، نظرا لانه برنس بسجل انا متحفظ. كل انسان يتحفظ على رأيه هو، كل انسان يتحفظ على موقفه. انت بتعرف ورأيي لن يقدم ولن يؤخر. يعني هلقيت بدي اقول لك شغله، اللون الاسود مثلا بحد ذاته لو شفناه على السيارة ممكن يطلع حلو، لو شفناه بلا مؤاخذة يعني على الصرصور حيطلع بشع. انت فاهم كيف؟ او شغله. فكل واحد بقيم شغلة معينة حسب نظرته هو وين بشوفها. فانت بتسألنا عن الحزب، في نظر ناس حيكون جميل، في نظر ناس اخرى حيكون مش جميل. رأيي لن يقدم ولن يؤخر.
That's still true. That still remains a fact. So all I'm simply saying is that even if you go to the United States military, do your time, get your military benefits, you still don't get the same amount of benefits that white Americans got in the 1930s. And that's okay.
Yeah, very true. That's very true.
Now, I like having, I don't know, man, I'm probably butchering the name, but it's definitely about diversification and understanding the cheat codes to the IRS code. Because one thing about Bitcoin is that doesn't take away from your income, but real estate does, and REITs do too, so that you and your people can eat as one. Like you invest and everybody gets dividends back on the land, and then you can subtract that from your income. So that's one cheat code that real estate is always going to give you a benefit from. That's why billionaires go buy land, because, it's a way to write it off from your income.
Yeah, and agree. Yeah, brother, what you're saying is important, and let me introduce some nuance. I'm not saying that buying...
point two, though.
And I appreciate that more than what you said before. But let me say this, I'm not saying that billionaires don't make a lot of money off of buying real estate as an investment. I'm just trying to say that, the idea that the American dream is owning your own house, in the same way that, marriage requires a diamond, that's a bullshit white person taking your money away from you. That's what I'm saying, right? Is that you're better to rent. Don't buy a house. Don't put your capital into a mortgage where for half of your 25-year mortgage, you're going to pay 80% to the banks for the right to own a house, right? Don't do that. That's not the best investment.
Jeremy,
but that could be a way to get it back, though. You know what I'm saying? So that the banks don't own the houses. It's going to take generations, but it is a way to you have to play the game in order to get what you want out of the game. You get that property, and then boom, you own it. So you have to play the game in order to get the money, get the assets, and then you can cut them off, because now you own it. And now, if you diversify your portfolio well enough, you start your own ecosystem.
Jeremy, you gotta be very specific with those type of statements, because if I live in one unit of a four person unit unit, and let's just say in my neighborhood it goes for an average of $1,400. unit, right, for rent. So that's let's say $1,500. That's $4,500 extra income, and let's say the mortgage is $3,500, right? So, or let's say the mortgage is $4,000. So that's plus $500, right? And let's say the property manager is $200. Now, and I pay like $1,300 for rent right now. Now I just took away my $1,300 in rent, right? Now that's increased cash flow. You see, so if you're saying don't buy a house by itself because the real estate market is flooded, sure, maybe, but even then I don't know about that. But again, for multi-families, I think it's a completely different paradigm. Also, most Bitcoin whales, I don't know what race they are, but I can tell you most Bitcoin whales are not black people. I doubt that.
It was so good.
You said what?
No, I said it's so good. It's delicious what you said. If I can go ahead and finish.
Yeah, I don't like Jeremy. He looks at everything like porno.
Yeah, the people who are benefiting most for Bitcoin right now are Bitcoin whales. And I think like right now, even if you got in as a small fish, unless you're getting in around $1,000, $10,000, where Bitcoin could go in 10 years, maybe it hits $1 trillion by 2035, 2040, maybe, right? So that's a 10x that would be a 10x in your investment, more than a 10x if it does it, right?
Count me
right?
in, I'm investing.
Right. So
let me respond really quickly. The first thing you said was just agreeing with what I said. Is that yes, if you're treating it like an investment and not just buying a single house, like you said, the multifamily unit, you're leveraging your capital, you're borrowing more, you're buying more property. Absolutely, it's a great way to generate wealth. If you're just buying a house because that's the American dream, no, you could do so much better with your capital. Now, for the second thing you said, right, what we're talking about. And again, like one of my favorite rooms outside of this one, you demon Mando, is black Bitcoin billionaires. There's a very wealthy black veteran who lives in South America, who got into Bitcoin early, who spends his time on here just introducing the idea to African Americans. And I do it to everyone. I don't give a shit what your skin color is. I try to do the same thing. And what I'm saying is that when you say, oh, it's just the white guys who have benefited from Bitcoin today, I'm not going to argue. Sure, the majority of Bitcoin maxis and holders are probably white. I'll be quick. But the reality is, when you say we're early, dude, we are at a time when South Americans who can't get a bank account can get a fucking Bitcoin wallet. Like there are so many people, and if you're saying, dude, we are the same thing as Bitcoin at 25 cents. We are literally the same thing. We are Apple at $200. We're Tesla when it was 1/10 its value. And so the difference is that if you're going to say, oh, go buy a house and make a bunch of white fucking bankers rich, that's better than just understanding technology and buying Bitcoin and sitting on it for 4 years and making a profit, then you don't understand it, man. Like you literally don't understand like everything that I'm saying.
Right. So I
too, man. When people talk about reinvesting, they always talk about money, man. Like we can fucking build farms. We can have the things that we essentially need. Like, why not take some money and start a farm?
Hold on 1 second, right. Hold on 1 second. So, Jeremy, earlier I said what black people have to do is different than what everyone else does, right? Crypto is one of those avenues. It's not the only avenue. I don't even know if it's sound financial to ignore the real estate investment opportunity, right? Again, I could see if there wasn't as far as Bitcoin whales. I said most Bitcoin whales are not black people. When you bring up one black person that has done well in Bitcoin, you're proving my point, right? I didn't say nobody and no black person has done well in Bitcoin or crypto. I said most bankers are probably ran by white men. Most crypto whales. I mean, I know we don't have the exact statistic on the identity of most crypto whales, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you say Chinese, maybe you say Indian, but I'm gonna also speculate and say it's probably mostly white men, right? So if not white male bankers, if not mostly white male whale holders, still dealing with the same demographic, Jeremy. The only difference is they're in different professions. As a matter of fact, J.P. Morgan was shunning Bitcoin for a while. BlackRock was shunning Bitcoin for a while, and now we know that they have some of the most amount of holdings of Bitcoin, right? So again, white men that switched up their strategy and are still being able to benefit. Again, Jeremy, I'm with you. I'm leveraged in Bitcoin. Most of my portfolio I'm not leveraged in Bitcoin. most of my portfolio is in crypto. A financial advisor will say, "Hey, that's a little risky."
Evan, you went from a proud black man when you said that most of your portfolio was in Bitcoin to a transgendered white cracker when you said most of my portfolio was in crypto. You lost, like, brother.
No. I didn't say. I said not Bitcoin. It's in crypto.
Exactly. You said I'm not a man. I'm a transgendered white guy, but I identify as a black person. That's what you just said right now.
No. Okay, so I'm not promoting Bitcoin, and I don't need to say the names of my cryptos because I'm not here for that, right?
Don't you fucking dare talk shitcoins in here, you fucking white cracker transgender person. I'm sorry. What's your pronouns, miss?
You was Kobe.
It happened. Sorry. I got a little emotional there. Let me apologize as a Canadian. Let me just step back. Let me step back. Because we were talking about Bitcoin versus real estate, and then you started saying crypto versus Bitcoin, and I took huge offense. Like, more offense than everything that Pepe said tonight. Everything that Pepe said tonight, and I took so much offense with what he said, but nothing that he said caused me to take more offense than when you said, no. I said crypto, not Bitcoin. Like, how dare? I'm sorry. You know, I'm just gonna get more insulting. I'm gonna go on mute.
No, Jeremy, do you own property?
No, how dare you? Why the fuck would I do that? Sorry, go on.
Any property?
No, I have in the past, but no, I
That's
don't.
anti-American.
Thank God, you fucking Russians. Sorry, go ahead.
So instead of owning a house, you spend $4,000 a month giving it to me. Awesome, thank you.
No, I didn't give it to you. I gave it to my Russian landlord. And instead of that, I made a fuck ton more on what I spent with the money that I would have spent for a down payment on a fucking shitty house for 5% appreciation every month while I pay property taxes and I repair the fucking house. You know how much it cost me to repair my fucking roof? Nothing. I call my landlord and I say, "Fix it, you Chinese bitch."
Yeah,
Just get a new house. Get a brand new
Hold
house.
on. But see, the thing is, Jeremy, the problem is that you get all your money back, and yeah, it's like owning a house is like renting. All you're doing is renting, and then after whenever you want to get rid of it, you get all your money back. So
let me ask you, Boris, you have to understand that, like, the difference is, it's just like renting, except the people that rent can take the 10% down payment on the house that they spent to buy it and invest it somewhere else and end up with way greater returns than they would if they had spent that to buy a house and spent all the wasted money, you know, fixing it, repairing it.
Jeremy, I got to give you pushback on this one because you have to understand that when you're renting at a place, that person is more than likely paying mortgage, right? And so, let me give you my personal perspective. Let me give you my anecdotal experience. I've never before, me buying a house, was I able to move and then profit $50,000 upon my move. Like, I bought a house, I ended up wanting to relocate to another state. I sold that house, and then I walked away with like $50,000. Here in the United States specifically, real estate is an avenue of general, like, of actual generational wealth. The banks are genuinely, in my opinion, the smallest factor. The things that you said are true, but the reality of the circumstances is that you actually have a chance of a profit when you own real estate rather than when you're renting. When you move, I mean, you go from deductible to deductible, but when you own property, if you buy a house and then sell it and then move to another house, you have much more money to actually operate on. And dare I say, you have leverage because you have a property that the banks will actually be more favorable towards giving you favorable options.
And I think, au revoir, the reason you have that perception is because everyone on the stage probably had parents who had unbelievable wealth, and maybe not everyone here, because everyone did have parents who own houses, but if your parents did own their house...
No, Jeremy, I told you what my perspective was. I sold a house, and I got $50,000 after it. Like, who has ever received a transaction? How many people receive a transaction for like $50,000, and the house was paid off when I sold it? That was the house that sold paid off $50,000 more. You don't get that with real estate.
No, brother.
I'm sorry, you don't get that with rental.
But let's click on that, right? How many years did you hold that property?
2 years.
So in 2 years, you bought a property and then you sold it for a $50,000 profit.
Yes.
So did you do that to buy a house as your primary residency?
No. Like I had a dire circumstance that required me to move to another, I guess in Canada you would call them province. So like I used that money to move. But like, yeah, I could have rolled that into another property. But at the time that I sold it, that would not have been like financially advisable because property was inflated and still is in the United.
And all I hear you saying, Orvar, is that I played the real estate lottery in America and I won. And all I'm saying is that the majority of people who get into real estate to own their own house rather than having enough capital to use that as one investment vehicle for their portfolio, the people who are just saying, hey, the American dream is own a house, that's not the best place to put your money financially.
That's not the American dream. That's close to the American dream, but that's not close to the American. Like that's not the American dream. That's how we sell. Let me tell you, like from the outside, from the inside looking out, that's what we tell you the American dream is. From the inside, like telling you, the American dream is to own real estate, own property, own it and keep it. That's it. We only tell people coming into this country to buy one property, to own their own castle, right? That's what we sell you. That's not the game.
That's what the white bankers sell you. In the same way that the white fucking owners of the beer sells you the idea that you can only marry the person you love if you give them a diamond.
Different things. Like so, the diamond thing, you're absolutely right. The diamond thing, you're absolutely right. But statistically, the way to wealth in the United States is to own property.
Yes, and if you go back further, the way to acquire wealth in the United States is to own black people. Also, doesn't
property
make it?
No. It's property. You want to change the words? No.
Property.
Chattel slavery. I'm agreeing with you. Chattel slavery. The same concept is true today. You want to make it disparaging and you want to make it unsavory, like by changing it from owning a house to owning a black person. But the ideology, the concept, the method is the same method. It's the same thing, and it's still true in this country. As I said earlier, the game has changed, but the players are the same. Right? Like it's like nothing has changed and everything has changed.
So three questions, or three quick questions. And I want you to answer for Bitcoin and for real estate, not crypto. And if you mention crypto, brother, I love you. I think you're awesome. I think you're going to be a great talking aid. But if you say crypto, I'm going to get emotional. But let's just talk Bitcoin and real estate and answer these three questions. Is it true that in real estate, if you're going to take out a mortgage to own a house, to live in, that for the majority of that mortgage, the majority of what you pay is going to go to banks that are owned by white people? Question number one. Is that true when you buy Bitcoin? Question number two. Second question for you, right? Is that like has anyone who's bought property in America, are they guaranteed to make a profit if they hold it for 4 years? Also, has there ever been anyone who has not made a profit who has held Bitcoin for more than 4 years? That's my second question.
So okay. I don't have a problem with Bitcoin, but I want to say that I'm a Web3 developer and I favor Solana, preferably.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And you know what? You can boom the room if you guys want.
Wait, you're a maxi? Oh God, he's a max. Oh,
this is so dumb.
It's kind of.
Hi, Boris.
But then, no, here's where when he says white bankers, all I hear is I'm into where white people own fintech. Like, who owns majority of crypto? Like, who owns majority of Bitcoin? You're gonna tell me West Africans do? You're gonna tell me Japanese, like who owns? He's not answering that question. So
the problem is, I don't know. Hold on. The biggest problem what you guys are talking about, who gives a shit who owns? Only matters what you own.
No. Actually, he brought up white bankers as is to say, what's the demographic of crypto earners? I didn't bring up
the guy that created Bitcoin essentially has majority of the Bitcoin.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence of Satoshi Nakamoto. You or I, no one in this room has evidence that he actually exists or that that's a real person. Like, let's be frank here. You've never proved, but no one has ever.
Well, I've done research on him. Like, I just couldn't find like a birth certificate. I couldn't like find like old pictures. I did a picture of him, but it's like I can't find.
So let's say the server just crashes and y'all lose everything. What you gonna do? Like, what if some glitch happens in the system and then it's all gone?
I mean, hey, what if the stock market turns off tomorrow, right? But that's not really how you.
Well, I'm saying that's the difference, right? It's like if I buy a house, it don't matter what the fuck going on. I still own that house if it's mine. But crypto is so like, I don't know. At least to me, I don't know shit about it. So to me, I look at it as this thing that's like, okay, it's on the internet. And what if we just
the thing is, you gotta ask yourself: are you psychologically prepared for the lights to come off? Right? Are you prepared to walk down the street with a hammer?
Right, like what if the movie Red Dawn ends up happening for real, and literally we got motherfuckers like dropping out of ships, or I guess not ships, like planes and helicopters and shit, and coming up in our houses like Remy your shit, and now they done fucked with the electromagnetic field, so now we ain't got no access to satellites, we can't use our phones, we can't drive our cars, then what we gonna do? Now we just got a bunch of internet money. We might as well be Monopoly.
Well, you can say the same thing about the U.S. dollar, right? But if you want to have apocalyptic, Book of Revelations type of thinking, then maybe long-term investing is not your,
apocalypse. I'm talking about. Okay, I just feel like with the state of the United States right now, we absolutely could.
You gotta ask yourself the logical.
That doesn't sound like a foreign concept anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is, you gotta ask yourself the critical questions, right? Psychologically prepare yourself for what I'm about to say. Are you prepared to kill a person, a human being, for a chicken nugget? And you gotta understand the circumstances.
I'm not killing a person.
I'll kill someone for it. I'm mentally prepared for it. If I'm starving, I'll kill you for a chicken nugget.
Nigga, you can have a fucking chicken nugget.
So you're not prepared. None of you guys are prepared.
To be fair, Princess, like with crypto, you could, put in like 10K, get out 70K in a matter of months. Like this is quite possible, and then use that 70K to buy the home or buy the guns or the foods so that you can prepare for the apocalypse. So, two things can be true the same.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Wait, what's the debate?
Like, what if somebody just I'm not really debating, but like, what if somebody just, said, pulled out a wire or something, like disconnect server, everything fucks up. You know what I'm saying? Like, computers get viruses all the time. Jeremy's laughing, but okay. I don't know anything about crypto, right? So this is like genuinely. Most of the youth who don't know shit about crypto, this is what we think, right? What if somebody just tripped over a wire and then unplugged the server and then it glitches and like everything's erased and there's no way to get it back?
Well, no, it's in the cloud. It's blockchain.
Okay, but what if the cloud fucks up, right? Like it's the internet.
No, you're right. If the cloud.
What if the cloud gets hacked?
Okay.
So now you ain't got no house and you ain't got no real life assets, but you got a bunch of Bitcoins that just got stolen. Your Barrio coins is in somebody else's bank account now.